fuck. Moves. What does that do? Is this it? Oh. I bet you I can do the headphones back here. That's what I gotta do. I'll plug in like this. Dude, you learn something new every day. Nope, that's not it.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. We're just getting set up now on the Ignorance is No Excuse podcast. We got Lance Scott on the line. Hello, Lance. From Texas.
What's up?
And we got a group of people around the nation that wants to do a national home grow protest. So we're going to have a couple of those guys on too. And I think, Lance, you should get in on this one.
Yeah.
I don't think they have Texas yet, so we need Texas.
Fuck, you know what? We want a home grow. I already got the 160 acres we can do it on.
Yes.
I got more acreage to do it on. We can just do that Johnny Appleseed. We can just go around and start spreading it out, my friend. Overgrow the planet is what we call that situation.
Overgrow.
I mean, it's already all over the planet, but we gotta do it like it's in everybody's front yard, like it used to be.
Okay, so I can't pass my weed to nobody today. I'm by myself. So how do I pass weed to myself at the car? It's no fun by yourself. You can't have fun here by yourself. You just can't.
Where's Mike?
Mike's working. I planned on this. The whole schedule got screwed up today. We were supposed to do a molding. That's why I'm here early. But the molding we're not doing till Monday. So I'm here. So we're going to do a podcast here while I'm here.
That's what we should do, man. I mean, we got to do. The thing is like we just got to keep hitting it really hard because I got a lot of response from the people that I put it out to. You know, I was like, you know, this is where we've actually finally got our studios dialed in, and now we can start doing stuff like properly. You know, and trying to get the word out because it's ridiculous how far we're going forward, but how many steps we're taking back. Just like with that message I sent you about what happened in New York. Was it yesterday or the day before?
Yeah, we're going to get to that too. We got a couple of stories for you today on the podcast. We got a few things to talk about. We got the Scutari Cup coming up in next week on Thursday. Scutari Cup, which is all dispensaries. We have the 420 Expo coming up.
Which I heard
One. With Tommy Chong. Yes, Tommy Chong.
Saw that. You get the Godfather coming to y'all's first cannabis cup.
So we're going to get him to hit off Bongholio. Bongholio is going to be packed for bear.
I think when you get Tommy in the same, I mean, I was only in his presence once. Hopefully he brings his beautiful wife with him. But when you guys get him where you are, I mean, to be in the presence of somebody that has lived our life, the lifestyle that we want, the green lifestyle, and set the example.
So stick around. We got a big show for you.
Gonna have to unmute me. I mean, I can't hear you. You muted the music and everything.
Oh, I can't unmute you. Lance, can I unmute you? I can't. I don't even think you heard me now. Okay, this is Michelle Burns. I'm packing my joint with Michelle Burns' cane. Because this is Michelle. She has 2 canes that she walks with. It's a multitasker, so I'm packing it right now. Packing the joint.
When you mute me, I have to unmute me.
There you are, Lance. Okay, hold on.
Yeah. Whatever you did, you muted the music and all that stuff. You killed it.
I don't have much control over the computer internet, the computer audio.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Sorry, hold on. I'm having issues here. Hold on. There we go. Now I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, I can control it here. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
and we're still working out on this StreamYard thing, man. This is a whole new app for us.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's working pretty good.
No, it's good. I like. First of all, I'm gonna say it right now, I like it better than Zoom. I'm gonna say it right now. It definitely works for what we're using it for.
That's a bold statement right there, sir.
That is a bold statement. Zoom is nice for meetings and stuff. I mean, like really. But I haven't even done. I have this StreamYard account now. I have to go. I mean, I could set up my own little podcast in the back end if I wanted to, but I don't want to. I don't want to be the most hated man in America.
Okay, I'm packing a filter into this joint here that I just made.
Well, you're just so. I mean, understanding that you guys are just so lucky that you're at the beginning of what's going on. That you do have access to dispensaries. You do have access to that kind of stuff. But
I know. What are you going through down there, Lance? I mean, we're spoiled. We're kind of spoiled up here.
Not. I mean, you
not
are,
really, but not really. But
you're getting to the point where,
compared to what you're doing down there, shit, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have. I've been out of weed for a while, man. I just have.
Oh, come on.
No,
really?
I've been out of weed for a couple of weeks, I guess, because
what?
it's just one of those things where I'm having to. You have to pick and choose your battles. Like for me, rebuilding a car, rebuilding scooters, making sure that I have my access to stuff, paying for my doctors takes precedent. We had a plan to go to Tucumcari, which is about 100 miles away, but I chose then, instead of going 100 miles west to go get weed and spend the night and go to a hotel and have a good time, I chose to go 100 miles east and go pick up that $100 electric scooter. I have to make my choices, but I'm fine with being without weed. The thing about me is I can detoxify off of anything. I'm a drug dealer's worst friend, is because if he got me hooked on something, I'd detoxify off it immediately. Immediately. And I've been smoking. I've had my time, man. I've literally smoked pounds and pounds of weed. I've done the dispensary thing, and it's just I can detox. I can deal with it. It makes it better for me whenever I do go get it. and I do smoke, it's like smoking for the first time. It really is. So, but my day's coming. I mean, I spent let's see, from I guess it was from I guess when I moved to Arizona in 2000. So from 2000 to 2018, roughly, man, I had it. I mean, a buddy of mine was just here last week and talking about how we used to have, the big yellow and black tubs. I had an apartment that in my kitchen, I had 40 of those tubs full that needed to be trimmed. And that's all I used to do when I first got diagnosed with MS. And I would sit around and just trim weed all day long and smoke. I mean, I was smoking 15, 20, maybe 30 joints a day, man. So I've had my time. So it's now time for me to kind of, reflect, be here, and I do get access to it. Like, I mean, I could order it right now. I mean, I got a guy right across the street that, if I wanted to, I can get an ounce right now. But I've chosen, because of my limited budget, to buy 4 new batteries for my 2 new scooters. So I have that badass new one. I want to put 2 batteries in that one, and then in the process, I wanted to put 2 new ones in the other one, and that's 100. That's a, let's see, 150 a pop, so $300 for batteries. So I have to pick and choose my battles, and I'm fine with that. My girl, on the other hand, she can't be. She's also trying to go work for the post office and stuff, and she knows if I have it around, she's gonna fail that DT real quick.
Oh boy.
So I'm good. Can you hear me with the microphone? The microphone good this time?
You sound great.
All right, cool. All right, good.
I'm doing a little producing right now, so
that's good. But yeah, can you hear me with the microphone? The microphone good this time?
You sound good. Little producing there. Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Sorry.
Good.
Go ahead.
But yeah, because like we were talking with Mario and everybody, the last podcast is like, you guys are going to have to be going through some fucking growing pains, and the growing pains that I just saw yesterday with that picture of all of the delivery trucks that were ganked. I don't know how many they got. They got 20 something. 20. They confiscated something like.
Police in New York City seized trucks used to sell cannabis on Tuesday. They said 20 trucks were seized, but now they changed the number to 19. Part of a quality of life issue in New York City. What does that mean?
What does that mean?
You have MS and you need it. What are you talking about?
No, what it is they're trying to get the drug dealers, which is what they're going to call these guys. They're trying to get them out of the way, because then they just announced that they're going to start issuing the licenses.
Here's a quote from Madry, Department of Health. Oh no, Chief of Patrol Jeffrey Madry says, if you're looking to buy illegal cannabis from the Weed World bus located on 5th Avenue and 40th Street, it is no longer open for business. We do not anticipate it opening for a business anytime soon, so keep your cancer at home. Yeah. That was me just saying keep your cancer at home.
I mean, this is what, okay, I don't think everybody remembers, but before Prop 64 took effect in California, Prop 215 was in full effect. LA County, just LA County alone, had over 1,000 dispensaries. 1,000. Prop 64 takes effect, and they go down to under 100. So this is one of these situations where they just wanting to start issuing license. I think they just issued a license the other day. Are they starting to issue licenses in New York, or starting the process? I read some article off of LinkedIn that said something about their. I'm trying to think of what it is. Let me look at my phone. Who the magazine was that does this. But yeah, this is what's going to happen. So all of those legacy people that have been doing it for ages, they thought that they could uncloak themselves and come out from underneath the banner of just because it's now legalized or whatever. Get ready, people, because there's going to be a ton of people arrested, and this is when it all takes effect. And this is the reason why you have to be careful and having your paperwork in order, because if you don't have your paperwork in order, they're still going to raid people. Trust me, everybody's paperwork's going to be in order, because I worked with people out in California that had the paperwork all taken care of, and we were paying lawyers, and they had over, lawyers on retainer and stuff like that. But it turned into, even if you got your paperwork together, they're still going to raid you just so they can keep you down, keep you in the court system, and start sucking money off of you, because then you're going to start using your lawyers to battle these people. So yeah, that was a shocker, man. I was like, oh my, and then my internet was down yesterday. I was like, oh crap, we can't talk about this. So that's why I came on today and was like, oh my gosh, we got to talk about this, because you people don't understand. They're gonna blindside people. They're just gonna blindside them. Everybody's going to I can't even figure. Forget it. It was one of those hemp magazines, but it was talking about that. They cover all the news, and usually I usually get it on Monday morning, so I get the whole setup. But yeah, shocker. Not to me. I know it's coming on. And then you see the picture of the bus of the quote unquote pot trucks, or whatever you want to call them. Dude, those guys are just, you might as well just put neon signs all around them, because they were all painted and vinyl wrapped and big old pot leaves all over them. And yep. And that's just, it's good for Jersey though, because until they get their, it's going to cause everybody to get on a bus or on a train or in a taxi or in a car, go across the bridge, pay those easy tag fees, come into Jersey, go to Red Bank, go wherever you're going to go to get your weed. I mean, it's good for Jersey. Jersey's going to make the tax dollars for just a bit. I don't know how much longer it's going to be, but you guys are going to be back and forth crossing bridges, back and across in subways, and back and forth. So, but yeah, that was I saw that and I go, oh, they're just gonna ramrod these guys. And think of all the trucks, the 19 trucks. Think about the guys, the owner of it, and then all of his employees, and where he was getting his stuff, or whoever it was, however much he had on him. They can make it a federal case depending on how much he had in his truck, and they're all going to end up at Rikers. It's gonna suck. It's gonna suck, man. And then here we are, Brittany Garner's. They're doing a prisoner swap with Brittany Garner. They're gonna do a prisoner swap. So it's not cool, man. It's just not cool. But
I know people that are still going to jail for weed, like Adela Wisdom. I'd like to give her a call. Adela is going in Missouri. She was growing some hemp, and they're charging her with weed when it was only hemp.
How much hemp was she growing, though? Was she growing a field full of it?
No, I don't think so. I want to give her a call. Let's see if we can call her.
See if she'll get on the line.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to her a little bit. Let's see. I have her number here.
That's just it's insane that we're talking about the same thing, but then there's how people are being treated differently, how the system's being treated differently, how everybody's doing everything differently, man. It's not cool.
Now, hold on. In case my machine doesn't work, I need to have a microphone ready. Hold on.
All right, man. Yeah, you're playing with not your normal gig.
Okay. I got a microphone here. I got the yellow mic. Yellow mic is red. Oh, no, it's not.
Your level's a little low.
Hello. There we go.
Oh, there you go. Boy, you're up high now.
That's not the yellow mic. Okay.
Wow, dude, that makes you feel like you got a porn star voice.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Well, what's wrong with this one?
No, that one's tuned to very. That one's at a nice level. That other one was like, whoa. Excuse me.
Oh, I think I see why. Okay. All right. Let's give her a call. She doesn't even know I'm calling, but let's see what you can.
Well, hopefully she's not sleeping. Well, she's in Missouri. She's up.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's up. I'm going to share this thing here and make sure everybody knows that we're.
Message NJ20.
Uh-oh, that's not right. Oh, no, look, wrong number. Duh. Oops. Okay, let's try this.
Gotta get you.
Try this out. Oh my God, my phones are working.
It's awesome.
If not, we'll just leave her a message and maybe she'll call us back. I've been trying to get her on for a couple of months now, and
It's called the White House.
Please leave a message after the tone.
Hi, Adela. This is Lefty Grimes. We are live doing a live podcast here in New Jersey. We know about your story, and we're actually shocked because well, we're not shocked because our government's really screwed up, and we're sorry that you're going through this mess out there in Missouri. Apparently, you were growing some hemp, and they're saying you were growing some weed. And here in New Jersey, we have the same situation. Where well, not the same, but only rich people can grow weed in New Jersey. If you have cancer or MS and you grow weed for yourself, you're going to jail for 5 years here in New Jersey. So we're fighting for home grow here in New Jersey, and maybe you can help us here, and we can help you there somehow, and we can get your story out there. We'd like to help you as much as we can. We have Lance here, and he's from Texas, and well, you have your own set of troubles in Texas, but pretty much the same deal. Missouri and Texas, pretty much anti-cannabis, right?
Texas is not anti-cannabis. They're going to split it up. If you look at the green map, we're like a light tinge of green. We're not completely white like Mississippi. When I want to say somebody's anti-cannabis, I look at somebody like Mississippi. Texas is where the Hemp Act of 2018 that Trump got passed and all that stuff. They've allowed certain types of hemp, which is in Missouri's territory, what she was growing, that she can grow. But the unfortunate thing is that, with the Delta 8s, the Delta 9s, the Delta 10s, and all the splitting things up, you can see that this is how it was. I saw this coming before anybody knew about the CBD stuff. We only talked about Delta 8 and Delta 9. We only talked about the THC cannabinoids. And whenever the CBD stuff started being exposed, I knew that they were going to start piecemealing and stuff. Say, oh, you can only have Delta 8, or you can only have Delta 10, or you can only have this, because they have the way of the extraction process. And a lot of that stuff comes from hemp. And there's a big difference between medical cannabis. And most people don't know this. A lot of people are extremely ignorant to chemistry. And this is why I feel now that me getting MS and me coming to being able to do this now and be able to share my knowledge to the world. And everybody has to understand what chemistry is, and understand what stereochemistry is, and understand the difference between one cannabinoid and the other cannabinoid. And that's where the terpenes come involved, because people are adding terpenes to stuff now. You have a terpene extract, and if you want your stuff to smell a certain way or act a certain way, you can get your Delta 9 THC, all your basically doing your bumper box to make your joints out of. And you can get,
like that.
You can get really low level THC stuff, and it'll get you high. But if you want it to taste good, it has a certain terpene smell to it, you can add those liquid terps to it.
No.
And that's what people are doing. I mean,
I won't do it, Lance.
I won't. I'm full spectrum, man. I'm full spectrum. I've always been full spectrum. And what that means is Delta 8, Delta 9, give me my Delta 8, but Delta 9. And then now they have Delta 10 coming out. So I'm full spectrum all the way, because for somebody in a medical condition, we have to have what our cannabinoid system wants, and whatever it doesn't want, it has a way to get rid of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so your body's meant, just like with DMT, we talked about it last time, your body's meant to process certain organic chemicals in your body. And if it doesn't process it, it has a way of expelling it out through your waste systems, either through your urine or through your, or whatever. So, yeah, no, when oh my God, I don't even remember what year it was. I think it was maybe 07, 06 or 07, when a bunch of us were sitting around and discussing, Delta 8, Delta 9. And then we first started discussing the 4 original CBDs that were discovered, or not discovered, were being around, and knowing that you had your Delta 8, Delta 9, and then the 4 major CBDs, which what everybody started testing for originally out in SC labs, and all the labs were doing is like, they just basically, okay, this is your CBD profile and this is your THC profile. I saw what Texas was going to do because our medical grade weed here is 1% THC for Delta 9. So think about that. And I know everybody's been out there is like 1%. I wouldn't even touch that. Because back in the day, our swag that we bought, that was like at minimum like 6%. You get like 6% THC. So we're below that, which is allowable. So what goes on here is, and a lot of people are getting smart about it, because if you go out there and first of all, you don't take a crap ton with you. You don't travel with pounds of weed. You travel with like an eighth. But if you get pulled over, the first thing you tell the cop is that that's CBD. Because then what that does is that forces Mr. Policeman to have to make a report, ship off a small amount of weed to spend anywhere between 150 to 200 bucks on a test to determine whether what's the THC level, whether it's CBD or whether it's hemp or whatever. So these days the cops are just like, dude, if it's less than, if it's not worth my time, they're just going to I'm going to take the weed from you. And then they're just going to stomp it out in the gutters and you're on your way, maybe give you a ticket. But, the growing thing, I don't know. I know there's a couple of CBD growing facilities around here. I know there's one real close to me in Pampa, and I've tried to find them. It's in a grain silo somewhere, but they're really well hidden. So, and I've been approached by people that want to turn their farms into cannabis farms, into hemp farms. And I was like, well, I mean, do you have insurance? Because, once you start putting down these hemp plants, especially these little small towns and stuff, they're in prime growing soil, they're going to come raid you. They're going to come raid you just to see the paperwork. They want to know what you're doing. They want to know if you followed all your paperwork steps. And the paperwork starts like in Austin. You gotta apply for a license from, I think, the governor's office and stuff. So, it's not free as people think. I mean, I know we're going across all of the states and stuff, but each state's doing it different. And then if you're a little guy, just a little guy, like my grandmother grew hemp in her front yard until the city officials, and then she was just down the street. She had a huge hemp plant that was regenerative, would stay alive, and she used to use the leaves and the seeds from the buds to make her own little tincture for her arthritis. And this was because she was born in like 1913, so she was used to having it around up until 37. But what we're doing now is that, we're going backwards, but as we go backwards, all 50 states are doing it completely different. And within that differentiation of the laws, that's why whenever everybody talks to me, I'm always talking about deregulation. Deregulation, people. Deregulate it, deregulate it, deregulate it. Because if we can deregulate this particular plant, we wouldn't have to worry about medical, recreational, blah, blah, blah. We're treating it like rose bushes and rice plants, corn, it's deregulated, and the only time you want to regulate it is if you're going to bring it to market. And then that falls under what it falls under not the FDA. It falls under the USDA. It falls under the, who's in charge of the freaking crops? I forgot who that is. Whatever the name of that people are that controls our food supply. But that's what we got to get to. We got to get deregulated. And until we get deregulated, and we're just creating a cornucopia of messes for each state and a cornucopia of messes for each person. Because where she is in Missouri, this lady in Missouri, the reason why she's having such problems is because she's right next door is Kansas. Kansas is like,
we just got disconnected. Let me try it again. I'm going to make sure she has my phone number. I didn't get a chance to leave my phone number.
Yeah.
You can't. I know someone in Kansas. I said, just go to Colorado. Take the ride to Colorado.
But then you come across the border and they see you coming back to what?
Isn't there a train?
There's an Amtrak that goes there.
Please leave a message after the tone.
Send her a text. Tell her
Hi,
to call.
this is Lefty. I'm sorry, we got cut off. I wanted to leave my number. My phone number is 908-616-0682. We're also on StreamYard. If you want, I can send you the StreamYard link. if you have a chance to talk to us today. We'll be on for another hour and a half or so.
Yeah.
And we'd love to tell your story about what's going on in Missouri. Like
Sure.
Lance said, you're right next to Kansas. But see, yeah, I would say just go to Colorado. But she wants to grow her own, obviously. She wants to grow.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't?
So she should have that right to grow her own hemp.
Yeah, we all should. I mean, you know, the founding fathers of this country had tobacco fields, had hemp fields, they had cannabis fields. They had different ones. George Washington not only grew it for hemp and using it for textiles, he grew it for medicine as well, because most people don't realize he had teeth problem, people. His whole mouth was jacked up. Every one of his teeth were pulled out of his head. He had medicinal problems for sure. So, but it's just totally a shame that we're 2022 and we're trying to redo stuff that was done back in the 1700s, 1776. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous that Harry Anslinger and John DuPont and these people that were allowed to come into our political system and maneuver our laws to where they are now. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's been, once I found this out, and I started finding this out when I was 12 years old, 10, 11, 12. Once I started reading up on this stuff and found out what was going on, it disgusted me. It infuriated me, one, but it activated me, second. And I was one of the first people in my little neighborhood that was pinching seeds out of my bag of swag, finding out of the good bags. And then I used to save them up in big old bags, and I'd go to the football field at my school and just toss them out. I'd go someplace where there was a nice soil and stuff, and we would just inundated them. And that's where this whole overgrow the planet kind of mentality that I've had since Mark Emery of the BCC company, and it's just been a progressive nature. And I literally thought by the time I was going to die that we weren't going to have these problems. I thought by the time I was 45, that because I was living out in California, that everybody was going to be like, oh, this is the way to go. And then now it's 2022. I got a 21-year-old son that doesn't know. The reason why he lives in Hawaii and the reason why he lives where he lives is because he has never known his life without having access to some form of CBDs, THC. I grew cannabis kids. I grew them up in this whole environment to understand that, stay away from these hard drugs. And that's a sad thing, because I lost another friend, Lefty. Goddamn coke and fentanyl. Got a phone call yesterday from Huntington Beach, California. Another really intelligent friend of mine didn't wake up, and it's getting to a point where people are gonna drop. It's death on the Grim Reaper is afoot, and he is collecting souls. And how they're doing it is they're not allowing us to have our medicine. This innocuous organic substance that's no more dangerous than rice. They're taking that away from us, and they're not allowing to have the access. But then they're giving us, and they're flooding us like the opium wars of China, bringing fentanyl and all this crazy stuff and mixing it with stuff, whatever. I don't even try. I tell my doctors all the time, I don't trust the pharmaceuticals that you're going to give me, because how do I not know those were made with some form of influence by the cartels, and inside this innocuous Valium or whatever you're going to want to prescribe to me has fentanyl in it, and I'm going to take one night, and I'm going to go to bed, and I'm not going to wake up. It's gotten that dangerous. It's so dangerous now. And I don't want to have to do what I did. I don't want to have to go and hide on an island out in the middle of nowhere and just take all my seeds with me and do my own thing out there and stay away from people, because I'm afraid of what is happening. We've lost too many people with Tom Petty, Prince. Come on, how many hundreds of people, thousands of people have been murdered by their drug dealer or murdered by somebody that just didn't know. Because Steve didn't know. He was just doing coke. He just didn't know. He's a mechanic. He's just doing probably just a little toot, like they say. I'm just going to do a little toot, and then now he's dead. Oh, hey,
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you all for having me on. I know I've been supposed to be on. I've been lagging. Everything's just
Hey, no, we're just starting to work this out. We're just starting. The goal is to have 50 squares around Lefty. We got to have all 50 states represented. So what's going on with you?
Oh, wow. Where to start, right? So jury trial's coming up next month. Again, we'll see if it actually happens this time. It's been postponed several times. So it's just very stressful. People don't realize that the punishment's in the process. So it really doesn't matter. Like, this is all from start to finish. It's the punishment, whether you get incarcerated or not. That's just, for this plant, prohibition is real, and it just keeps going and going, and just fighting.
May I ask where in Missouri are you? Because I'm in Texas. I'm in the Panhandle, so I'm pretty close to. I'm pretty close to you. What part of Missouri are you in? Are you close to the Kansas border?
Right smack dab in the middle of the state.
Oh, you're right in the middle. And Missouri is a medicinal state now?
It is. It is.
So you guys are medicinal, not recreational.
No, but apparently it's going to be on the ballot for recreation in November. But Missouri did something a little bit different than most states. They didn't just pass an initiative or a ballot or a proposition. They passed a constitutional amendment.
That's right.
So the MJ laws are part of the Constitution. And ironically, it's the only constitutional amendment that you have to pay for. So if you don't pay for this constitutional right, it's a privilege for those who can. If you don't pay for it, then you're a criminal.
What do you mean pay for it? You had to pay for your license to be able to do all that kind of stuff?
Oh, same in Jersey. Yeah, same bullshit they did to us here.
Okay, so I understand what you're saying. So it's a constitutional right that you have to pay for your license to be able to grow.
You got to be rich to have that right.
Yeah, or even be in possession, but it's unconstitutional to charge you for a constitutional right.
Yeah.
You're not legally and lawfully allowed to do that. And so those who are either too sick or too poor or don't have access are criminals, while everybody else who pays for it isn't. And the more you pay, the more you can grow. You can have a license.
Oh, so you mean that like if like Be Real or Snoop Dogg or Jim Belushi shows up and they throw millions of dollars at the state of Missouri, we get our licenses and we can set ourselves up in the corporate way, we're good.
Like magic.
Like just poof, all of a sudden you're fine because you're paying the licensing fees and giving that money into the state.
Yeah,
it's like registering your car.
And to further the irony, the same bureaucracy, the same governing body that takes your money, because it's still considered a controlled substance in the state, because we, just like feds, the states also have a controlled substance list. So to further the irony, it's the Department of Human Health and Services that you pay your $100 to is also the same regulatory body that's keeping cannabis on the controlled substance list.
Oh my God, what an oxymoron.
Wow.
That says it's got no medicinal value, as their left hand is taking money for your MMJ laws. And to further it, they specifically, hemp is not covered under your medical marijuana license. So let's say they want to come in. Okay.
Wait. Hold on. Say that again. Hemp is not covered under a medical marijuana license?
At all. It specifically is excluded.
So that if it's excluded from your license, what does it have to do with the 2018 Hemp Act that was passed with Trump and stuff? That's on a federal level. So now what about the hemp farms in Missouri? Aren't there hemp farms in Missouri?
They are, but you see, that's just a licensing policy, so it's not a crime.
Okay, Lefty. Now, did you see what I was saying, everybody, beforehand? We're creating 50 different sets of laws in 50 different cities. Now, what happens is that probably will end up happening in the future. It'll be on a county-by-county basis.
Municipalities.
A municipality basis. So now you have a state, and within that state, like I think we have 346 different counties here in the state of Texas, 52 in the Panhandle. You're going to create different laws for each county, and we're creating a problem that in the future is going to be so complicated. It's like I'm dealing with that. What is that show? Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And you're dealing with just forms after forms after forms after forms after forms and inundated with paperwork that's going to prevent the good people. And I'm sorry, Adela, I don't know you, but I can tell you right now, you're a good person. You've been doing good things. You've probably been in this movement for a long time. It's going to prevent the good people of this industry from stepping forward and wanting to do something good for somebody. God forbid if you're going to do it for, profit, because sorry, I got out of the profit outside of cannabis a long time ago. Because that bumps you into so many different things that you don't want to be a part of.
And not only that, we're not passing rules based on science. We're passing rules and regulations based on whatever legislators are saying. So here, so hemp is always hemp. Hemp is always hemp, right? If at any given time, a seed is hemp, right? A seed is always hemp because it hasn't produced any THC. Marijuana plants are hemp at least twice in their life. But
well, and it's also depending on it. And the thing is you can do this as well, depending on what strain it is. Cannabis sativa, cannabis indica, or the rudialis strains that are specifically used in hemp fields or outdoor fields, how you grow them. Because most people have seen the pictures of hemp fields where the plants are 15 feet tall, but they're all grown within 6 inches of each other. That prevents the plant from spreading out and doing what it needs to do. That you're just growing for the stalk and you're growing for the fiber. That's a hemp plant. You can take a quote unquote medical marijuana plant before we started doing the, what do you call it, the hybridization stuff that people are doing since Charlotte's stuff started coming out of Colorado, and specifically CBD weed or THC medical marijuana weed and stuff like that. Because in Texas they have Delta 8 here, and the Delta 8 stuff that you see in the shops that you can go buy look like the danketiest dank that you've seen. But
well,
it's
law
because
enforcement doesn't understand that hemp actually produces buds as well. And this was the fault of the DEA, because when they did this, they weren't anticipating people to be smart. And we're smart, we're creative.
Dude,
I could grow
we are so much smarter than the DEA, because people like myself, analytical chemists for over 30 years, we've got people that are super smart in our industry.
And they weren't anticipating people to grow CBD on the guise of hemp. That when they did it, they were thinking, oh, it's going to be industrial hemp. Well, people were like, oh, just less than 0.3%. I can do this and grow nuggets. So they said in my courtroom that the warrant that they got is they said that they saw multiple marijuana plants growing. Then when they raided me, there was no marijuana was. People need to understand this. I'm not charged with possession. I'm charged with manufacturing of a controlled substance, Schedule 1. That's the same as a meth lab.
Yep.
No marijuana was seized. No drugs were seized. No paraphernalia. No cash. Let me just push this off. None of that was seized at all. And so they said they saw marijuana plants. That was their probable cause for the warrant. Then after they raided me, they were like, there's no marijuana here. And we believe that she intended to attempt to manufacture a controlled substance. That's their justification for not testing it. They refused to test it. I got approval from the court, and I got a DEA certified testing facility in Tennessee that was going to be paid for testing it. They won't release any of the evidence. They refused to test it themselves and said it's on me to prove that I have to prove it. They said the burden of proof is on me, but they won't let me test it. They won't test it. And I'm surrounded by hemp farms.
Adela, do you have a lawyer? Do you at least have a lawyer, or are you doing this all on your own?
I was finally appointed a lawyer, but I had, so I was on, the state of Missouri violates your constitutional rights. It doesn't matter in this state. So I was.
So you were pro se for a while.
I was put on a wait list.
What?
Oh, for a lawyer?
Yeah. So in 2017, the state started.
Well, if that extends past 90 days, you're right to speedy trial. If it goes past 90 days, they have to kick out your case.
The speedy trial is only for the incarcerated in the state of Missouri.
Oh my God! How does your butt feel these days, man? You're getting fucked all ways.
I was denied.
Excuse my language, but you're getting screwed.
I was on the wait list for 10 months. The ACLU sued the state of Missouri and won. And in return, I was one of the 100 people left on the wait list. After 10 months, they finally, not just I don't have a public defender. I actually have a court-appointed private attorney.
Okay.
Who
You have what's called a public pretender. You have to take your public pretender by the
it's
hands
he's
because
not a
he's not a public,
he's not a public defender. He's a private practice, but he's a special public
court
defender.
appointed public. Well, that's still
Okay.
what I call a public pretender.
But
They're the
getting
ones. They're the
them
ones.
to do anything is impossible. And I have filed a dozen motions on my own. As a matter of fact, I was denied one motion. The judge says because there was no testing yet, and the prosecutor goes off. And I found out just recently in my discovery, upon more information, that they had known that the evidence was destroyed 2 weeks into my case. And
Oh, this sounds. Hey, Lefty. Remember when I told you I got busted in New Mexico? And I was looking at my federal, and I had that they let I got busted with 20 pounds in New Mexico, and they let it sit in a locker for however months it was, and then it molded. And so instead of charging me with 20 pounds, they charged me with 4 ounces. They
destroyed all the plants except for one. But they
can't destroy evidence. They have to keep the evidence in some form to show to the jury. When you ask for a jury trial, they have to bring that evidence. I remember when they brought in the evidence against me. They brought the cooler, and they showed just the cooler that it was in. Just the cooler that it was in. And they say, okay, well, we couldn't bring everything else in because it was all moldy and whatever. We had to throw it out. And then that's when the judge threw out, okay, well, you got to throw out this, you got to throw out that. Hopefully you're going to get a fair judge. If you don't get a fair judge, this is going to be horrible. This is going to be horrible for you. What are you looking at? What kind of time are you looking at?
11 years.
11 years. In a women's
They alleged they sexed the plants. He said he sexed the plants. He didn't sex the plants.
How? If they didn't test them?
No, and no, he said he sexed them as they were male or female. But here's the deal. Let's just say science. It was pre-summer solstice. I was rated in June. It's a veg cycle. Nothing would have showed their sexes until after the summer solstice. That's just science. He's lying. So they said that
oh
now.
My God.
He says that he can identify the difference between a plant that's either
a male and a female. Oh, he can?
No, THC, hemp and cannabis now, he says. And that.
Oh, he can, really?
He says he's 70% accurate.
Who, the cop did or the judge?
The cop.
The cop said he's 70% accurate. So basically 3 out of 4 times he can do it.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's why they got the warrant. They got the warrant because they said they knew that this was it. And now
they
that
lied. They lied.
They did lie. They used the National Guard. They used
the National Guard to raid you?
Yeah. The National Guard is who flew over the house.
We need to, Lefty, this needs to be, I'm glad this is on YouTube today.
That's what I'm saying. This is ridiculous what's happening to her. And I believe it's a lot of political payback because you actually ran for office also.
Yeah, so the first time I ran for state representative, within 30 days I was raided. That was in 2019, and they didn't find a single thing on the property. A year later, I decided to run for Congress, and within 30 days of announcing that, I was raided again.
Dude, this is the same thing that just happened to Trump at Mar-a-Lago. They're politicizing our law enforcement and using it as a way to destroy their political enemies. Is this not what's going on, people?
Yes, this is what's happening here.
This is what's happening. You're a political prisoner. Oh my God. All right, Adela, take this name down. His name is Chris Conrad. Have you heard of this guy?
I know Chris Conrad, yeah.
Okay, you know Chris?
Mm-hmm.
Reach out to Chris and try to get, I know he's on LinkedIn and stuff like that, and say, listen, I would love for you to be able to help me in some way, shape, or form, because he is a really good expert witness for testimonies and stuff like that. And I do believe he does a lot of stuff pro bono now. I don't know if he does. I don't think you have to pay for Chris, especially if you're such a tragic thing that's going on right now. He'll be willing to do it. And I'll put it out right now. You're so close to me. If you need me to come to court for you, you let me know. But it has to be one of these specific courts where they can send me a summons, and I'll come in and I'll educate the. I sat for 2 days educating the court in New Mexico the difference between hemp, the difference between cannabis, and what an extract is, what an extract isn't. Just burning up the court's time to make sure that they make sure it's on record, that they can't deny it. Once you put it in the public record, they can't deny what has been said. And because refusing to test your stuff, because you're refusing to test it, how does that cop know?
Come on.
Did he go? Is he a botanist? Did he
No,
go?
they're not. And now they're saying that they don't need to test it because I'm charged with attempting.
Well, attempting to, okay, and this is another thing that I was going to do, but I never got the chance to do it, is I was going to set up a full-on house grow room, and I was going to grow vegetables. I did it on my patio. I have pictures of what my patio looked like in California. It was using all old grow equipment. I had all the trays out, but I was doing it out in the sun, and I was growing green beans, tomato plants, and all this other stuff on my patio because I wanted the cops to raid my house. I wanted them to come in there and kick over my tables and do all this stuff, because what that would have done, it would have reversed. It's like, oh, so you did all this damage to this poor man's house, and all he's doing is growing vegetables. Yeah. Because that's technically what you're growing. Hemp is nothing more than a food source.
Hemp is lawful and legal. As a matter of fact, I put a video out of some camera that they were wearing when they were pulling up the plants, and he said, "Are you going to charge them for those non-illegal plants?" And he said, "Sorry, that's my mom."
That's fine. She probably does. She know you're on YouTube now. Like, oh no, you're blasting it. Because your mom's like, oh, she's like, get off of there.
Yeah, because just so you know that they are watching my page, and that they had mentioned that I had done a couple of podcasts, and that's evidence being used.
You know what? I'm going to tell you right now. I dare them to come to Amarillo, Texas. I dare them to come here and raid me, because after my son died, I have more friends in the police station, in the Amarillo PD right now. I have judges in my back pocket now. Not saying I'm paying them off or anything, but I had to get to know the police department here in my local PD, but not for excuse my language, not for cannabis and cannabis related issues, but because my son died. In situations like that. And I literally had to hold the hands of the police department, because they don't know anything anymore. They just follow procedures that are laid down. This is what we have to do this. And they're listening to somebody else. There's a higher up somewhere. It could go all the way to the governor's office in Missouri. You don't know who enemies you have that have said, no, we can't let this, we got to lock this lady away. You know, and at this point right now, if we're doing a Brittany Garner prisoner swap from Russia, your case needs to be thrown out tomorrow. As soon as that happens, that needs to be thrown out. Because we're not even talking about cardies and cannabis.
They did even more stuff. So like when they wanted I live on 3. I don't own any of the property I live on. My husband does. There's 3 lots, and I bought them all. He bought them all at 3 different times from 3 different people. And to make easier for the warrant, they merged the properties together through the county assessor's office.
Do you see how illegal this stuff is? It's
one tax bill we get now instead of 3. And they did that so when they got the warrant, because they couldn't tell, they were flying over it. See, they said that the plants were all over the 8 acres and they were in different stages. That's why every plant should have been tested independently, because every plant could either be hemp or marijuana.
This is why I was telling Lefty, is like, when I was younger, we used to save up all our seeds out of our swag bags, and we used to throw them out everywhere. This is what we have to do, people. We have to spread this plant where it's everywhere and everything, where they can't tell where it's hemp or cannabis or anything, because of these kind of divisions of the law.
But if they refuse to test it, what do you do? They
refuse. Oh my God! I'm trying to think about it. If they refuse to test it, then they have to throw it out, because how do they know what it is?
So they said they don't need to know what it is because it's attempting. That's what people are not like. This is what's making it very difficult. They said they're
saying you just attempted to rape somebody. Well, what is that? Is there an attempt? So you're just an attempted murderer. You're not. You didn't.
Go ahead, Adele.
If we walk into your house, we could probably find all of the ingredients needed to make meth. And it'd be in your sink, in your bathroom. Yeah. So those products within themselves are not illegal.
No, it's how you set it up.
Yeah. So that's.
And the thing is that, does that mean every farm, every small farmer, every grandma, grandpa, everybody with a garden in their backyard, or everybody that's growing their own food, this is where everybody needs to pay attention. this is how they're going to prevent you, like they're preventing the farmers in the Netherlands right now. I think they wanted to cut down the farmers from down to 50% of what they have right now, which is going to put a big, huge damper on the food supply in Western Europe, which is happening right now with the protests over in Europe. That this is a situation where this can't go forward. This has to be thrown out. This is at some point in time they're what do they call that, extrajudicial behavior. They're going beyond the scope of the law that they're dealing with you. This is not right. This is a travesty of justice is what it is. And do you have any court support? Do you have people that go with you? Are you just going by yourself?
Not in Missouri. Not in Missouri. These people here.
You're by yourself. So you're all by yourself.
These people aren't advocates. They're not activists. They come up with every excuse. Well, how much weight did you have? Like, that's irrelevant. Why didn't you have a license? Stop. We need to stop justifying people being arrested and raided for plants. Like that. That's all.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah. When's your next court date? You need to put that out there. When's your next court date? September
12th and September 14th.
So that's next month. That's next month. Are they actually moving forward with this? Is it actually going to happen?
This is the third jury trial that's been set up.
Okay, so you don't know. And see, this is how they burn through your resources, is that they'll get you all ready and get you ready. And then you'll show up and it's like, oh, we need to delay it 30, 60, 90 days out. Mm-hmm. So this is how they burn your resources. So
this has been since 2020. Well, the first raid was 2019. I was arrested in 2020. It's been over two years of active court. I go to court every month.
Well, hopefully that you go to court every month. I can't believe I'm hearing this, Lefty.
Who's your prosecutor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's put these people on blast. Okay. You got to put your prosecutor on blast. I don't know the judge's name.
Risa was my prosecutor. She quit and moved to Boone County, and she's a prosecutor there. So the head prosecutor had to recuse himself because he is running unopposed as a judge. The judge who signed the warrant for my raid. So he will be a judge in November, and the assistant prosecutor is now my prosecutor, and he is running as head prosecutor unopposed.
And what's his name?
Ben Wilson, I think.
Okay, is he a Republican or Democrat? What's he running as?
Oh, I live in Missouri. He's a Republican. He's a Shakespearean play. He's an actor. How appropriate.
He's a rhino, right? A Republican in name only. He's an actor. He's a crisis actor. That's even better. He was put in place.
So my God, I just don't think
pay attention to this. I don't know if we just blast it out there. Anybody that hears this kind of stuff, because I've been screaming this stuff since the late 90s, early 2000s when I caught my first case. That this is how they do it to you, people. This is how they do it to you. They don't want to convict you. Now, if they convict you and throw you in jail for 11 years, it's going to be more expensive to put you in jail and to have you go to a women's prison, because they're not going to put you in a violent prison.
She'll win on appeal. You have a constitutional right to do this. So this will go, if she appeals it, if she loses and appeals it, you appeal it to the Supreme Court. And you're going to win finally. You're going to. But this is what I mean, to drain your resources doing this, years of your life and time and energy and money. Yep. I mean, I know people that would do this to make a point, but she doesn't want to go through this. She just wants to grow hemp and be left alone. She's not trying to make a point.
I'm a federally recognized Native American. So this is also a religious sacrament. This is something, federally recognized.
That's a game changer. You're protected.
Do you have your genetic profile to prove this?
My great-grandmother walked the Trail of Tears. I'm registered. I have eagle feathers that I go to court with.
You're protected. Okay, then that's what you should do. That's a way. Call the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Just call the Bureau.
You have. What did they say? What did they say?
I'm not getting responses from anything. Is the matter
of fact, what about your tribe? What about the local tribe?
I'm trying. I'm really trying.
That's an option. That's a good option. That's a really good option to explore.
Pull your Indian card out. That ought to work. Mm-hmm. That might be an option. But at some point,
I go to court with my eagle feathers. For y'all, that's a felony, but I got them through the repository. It's eagle feathers, and so I own them legally.
No, the only people that can maintain possession of eagle feathers is people that have over. I think you have to be over.
You have to apply for them.
Oh, you have to apply for it.
Right on.
But it's American Indians and American Indian tribes that are related to the tribes can actually have possession of eagle feathers.
As a matter of fact, the last time I ordered eagle feathers, they sent me an entire bald eagle. So I have an entire bald eagle carcass full of feathers in my freezer.
Wow, you should take that and get it. You should get that freaking taxidermied.
I am.
I would taxidermy that thing. I would have like, "Roar!" Just as you walk in the door of my house. I'd have
with the snake,
with a big screaming eagle coming at them. People would be backing off. My dad is part Indian. My dad is because we live up in the it's up in the Panhandle. My dad's part of the Plains Indians, which is Comanche, Cherokee, or up here. My dad's got Indian in him, so I'm part Indian, but I think I'm like a 16th or something. I'm too far past to be able. I'm so polluted by the white man that I can't apply for that stuff. I'm outside of the scope of that stuff, but.
So
wow.
I want to share one other thing with y'all, because I mentioned at the beginning of this that the punishment's in the process. I am 45 years old. I have suffered from infertility issues my entire life, and when I was raided, I was going through the Cherokee Nation's adoption process. I can no longer pass an FBI background check, so I can't adopt, and I can only adopt an infant until I'm 47. I can't be a foster parent. I have had my motherhood stripped from me because of a plant. I don't know if people understand how much prohibition for cannabis affects and influences everybody. I recently applied for from a tribal commission job and was denied because I couldn't.
Yeah, because now you're a criminal. You've got an arrest record. I'm not a felon. No, you got an arrest record. See, that's the difference. It's the difference between they can always consider you a criminal is because you have an arrest record now, because this is an arrest. Whether they convict you or not is not the point. At this point, they can shut you down politically because of they can just have you considered. She has an arrest record. Oh my God!
A felony arrest record. So I asked them to release me when they arrested me. I asked them to release me on the summons. And was denied that because they said the severity of my crime.
Severity of your crime? What are you growing a bunch of freaking android plants that are going to get up and be like the Terminator and come after people? This is the problem with people understanding the difference between a cocoa plant and a hemp plant, or the difference between ayahuasca or ibogaine or any of these these organic chemicals that come from plants.
Severe? Taking her motherhood is severe. What are you talking about?
You know what? You just got adult aborted. That's what that is. They just adult aborted you from the ability, because there's so many wonderful children out there, wonderful children in the foster care system that you could bring underneath your wing and be able to teach them how to be actually a good contributing member of society. This is ridiculous, people. Oh, I'm so sorry for you.
I'm sorry, Della. This is
hard to hear.
We're gonna fight back, though. We're gonna fight back, and you got to play a little offense. Go after these people that are going after you. Who are your political foes? Who do you think they might be?
The problem is I was running in the political circle, and I was campaigning, and I was going to these places. I don't think that they were per se afraid that I would win. I think they were afraid of the awareness that I was bringing to the table.
It's the exposure. It's the exposure. It's what you bring.
They should be afraid because they're lying. They lied to us.
So let me tell you all a little bit. I've been a cannabis advocate, advocating for just judicial reform for a better part of 15 years. I actually owned an organization called POW 420. I don't know if you'd ever heard of them. And I found over 150 people serving life sentences. I visited and interviewed.
All are going to be taken out of prison as soon as Brittany Garner's released, right? So they should all be released if they're doing life sentences for cannabis. As soon as Brittany Garner gets brought here back to the United States, they all need to be out of jail.
But we're not addressing the issue, though. The issue is that every 36 seconds, someone in the United States of America is arrested for cannabis. On a nationwide scale, we have a 99% conviction rate.
For federal crime, definitely on cannabis and federal.
Both federal and state. So
So
only
you
one
just got to
person.
fight them on a state level. You got to break their backs. That's what I did. I broke
So
their backs.
I'm glad you said that. So what's ended up happening in Missouri is we don't have any case precedent. And that's because instead of the attorneys who are just literally, you know, like vultures operating in
Yeah.
the guise
Yeah.
of social
Part of the
outreach,
system.
have never ever took cases to a jury trial. They do a bench trial. A
Oh,
bench
that
trial
see that
stops at the
that's
lower
see
court and
that's
sets
the
no
change.
case precedent.
That's the change. That's the change. Asking for a jury trial, even though in my case, I got convicted of a felony based on a jury trial. They had to put me on probation because in New Mexico, first time felons or first time drug offenders don't go to jail. They go on probation. So at this point, a jury trial is the best way to go. I bet the best way to go for a reason because of the fact is that you're involving citizens. Uh, you're going to have a jury of maybe 12, I guess. Is going to
You
be a
can
jury.
appeal it.
Yeah, you can appeal it. That's a big deal. And I would it's just, and it's also bringing awareness. So what you maybe should do, I don't know how big the city is and how close the media is, but call your local media, before you go to court, tell them, call the local media and have all the trucks show up saying, listen,
Press release.
press release, you need to send something to the media to make sure that the media shows up where you are, because once they start seeing that you're not alone and that there's other people, and whether or not the media is for you or against you doesn't matter, they're going to go on their broadcast saying, hey, we've got a local Indian woman or we got a local American Indian female that is being persecuted by a cannabis law that is legal on a federal level with
Yes.
you know what I'm saying. And so that will bring more awareness.
Yeah.
Basic, because when you have the TV truck showing up and all that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
that puts a lot of pressure on them. And then they're going to try to want to try to resolve this, because if they send you to jail, that really, did you hear this, Lefty? In Seattle, they're going to start handing out licenses to people that were actually sent to jail and actually harmed by the cannabis laws, and you get the most points for your license, and I think you need 80 points to qualify if you actually serve time. So this is where they don't want this to go bad, especially in Missouri, because I know Missouri is next to Kansas, and Kansas is anti everything, you know. But it's in Missouri they're trying to change a little bit, but they're being very selective on how they're changing it. But you need to be able to inform people, and I'm glad you came on here today. I'm so glad Lefty brought you in. I'd never met you. I didn't even heard your story. Now that you're here, I can say oh, got to do a road trip.
Yeah, we got to help her somehow. We got to do something here. This is
Something.
ridiculous.
This is ridiculous. And if I have to come up there, and if it's getting to a point where it's a necessary situation, I'll road trip to Missouri. I got a nephew living in Missouri. I think he's in Kansas City, Missouri, though. He's not in the center part, but I can whistle stop. I'll put my wheelchair in the minivan, and I'll come up there and I'll roll out into the wheelchair, and we'll start banging pots and pans. And so listen is like, because I've got a lot of experience. I mean, I've been through the ringer when it comes to the court system, and on a state level and on a local level, never on a federal level.
So
They never kicked me into a federal level.
I had asked them to send me to the federal court if they wanted to. That's why the National Guard and the Mustang Drug Task Force and the local sheriff's department. So the Mustang Drug Task Force is a federally funded, dual deputized agency. And if they would have sent me to a federal court, I feel like it would have been a lot easier for me because I could have used my religious exemption
Yeah,
as a
you
Native
could have.
American
Yeah, you could
woman
have used it. Yeah.
easily. And I don't
I
think
would
they would
just,
have.
I would just, this is at this point, informing, put out a press release, informing the media of when your court date is, telling your story, putting it out there. Uh-oh, we got somebody else coming in.
Adela, how can people reach you to give you support, or is there anything we can do to support you right away?
So I do have a website, adelawisdom.com. I got a petition up there. If people want to sign it, by all means, sign it. I'm not using petition.org or whatever because they collect money from people and that just goes to their organization. And I'm just looking for signatures. I can't do a GoFundMe
No,
to raise funds
you can't raise
for an
funds for court.
attorney.
Yeah, you can't do that.
And so I'm kind of stuck on this. But, don't think that people realize the difference between, and it's an arbitrary man-made difference on this plant. I don't think people are educated enough to know the difference, let alone our local law enforcement. And our local law enforcement, I understand, is simply doing their job. It's our it's our legislative body who is the bad people here that are passing bad laws. When we pass laws, we need to fix our statutes. Our criminal statutes should reflect what's happening in the state, and they don't. See, by the thousands, there are people that are lawfully and legally in possession of hemp that looks like marijuana, smells like marijuana, and smokes like marijuana, but is 100% lawful. So what the officer said, the prosecutor said that it may be hemp, but it was going to grow up to be marijuana. So they said, listen to this. If
Grow up. It's going to grow up to be marijuana.
It goes, they have two ways of saying this.
I've ever heard. Okay, I
If I
got you.
intended to grow marijuana and it was hemp, that's still a crime. If I intended to grow hemp and it was marijuana, that's not a crime. That's hot pot. That just simply has to be destroyed.
Oh my God, my mind's hurting me.
You know what? I'm so glad that I'm out of weed right now because I can focus on this stuff. Because my brain is literally leaking out of my ears.
I can't take this. Are you kidding me right now?
It's leaking. It's literally. I can feel the brain fluid coming out of my ears. Adela, are you aware that cannabis sativa and cannabis indica are the same thing as Oryza sativa and Oryza indica? Do you know what those two things are?
Yeah. And they all fall under cannabis.
That's rice. I used to work for a genetic laboratory at the University of Arizona, and we did genetic profiles for plants, and we did Oryza sativa and Oryza indica. While I was there, because I was the extraction chemist for the genetics, I extracted cannabis sativa and cannabis indica, did the whole genetic profile, and found out that cannabis sativa and cannabis indica share 95% of the same genetics as Oryza sativa and Oryza indica. Those are just common household rights. That's Uncle Ben's. Uncle Ben's we're talking about, people. So this is where we're getting to now, is that
and hop rhizomes as well.
Yeah. So you understand. We have to understand, and then the court systems have no clue. The judge has no clue. Why? Because they spent the majority of their lives in law school and trying to read laws and being here. They don't understand. So you need somebody to be able to sit on the stand and educate them. And I can sit for, put on a diaper. I can sit for 8, 10, 12, 13, 14 hours in a court case, burning up their time, educating them, going on a record saying, you don't understand what you're doing. You don't understand what you're doing. You're trying to differentiate between one thing or another. You haven't even tested these plants until you test said product because you trashed it. This case needs to be thrown out. And why it needs to be thrown out? Because she's telling you it's hemp. And when it was harvested, or whenever you guys harvested it, when you raided her, it was nowhere near flowering or even sexting or anything like that. You can't say under a positive or even more than 70%, and you have to challenge the officers and the sheriffs and everybody. Is like, you're not an expert in cannabis. You're not an expert in cannabis. And how you're not an expert in cannabis is because you can't prove to me that you have the necessary knowledge for identification. Whether that's a monograph coming from APA, which is the American Herbal Pharmacopoeia Association. There's monographs in there that are dealing with cannabis sativa, cannabis indica. You can't tell me, Mr. DEA agent, that you've gone and actually done as much as I have, because I started at 12 years old. I'm about to be 52 years old. So that's 40 years of experience with the plant itself.
Well, I agree. So right now they said that without lab testing to show the delta 9 THC levels of the cannabis plant, they have no way of knowing whether the cannabis plant is legal marijuana or legal hemp.
They have to test it. That's the thing. Even when a cop pulls you over and you get busted with something that looks like weed, and the person being arrested says this is CBD or this is whatever, and he says it's not that, they have to then not arrest you. They can issue you a citation, but they have to take it into their evidence. And then that evidence has to be sent off to a laboratory, and they have to do a GCMS on it. They have to do GCMS.
But the highway patrols who does the testing in the state of Missouri, and the highway patrol will not take leaf and stem, and that's all they have. They want buds, they want nuggets, and there is none.
Of course they do. You know why they want that? So they can take
Because
it
it's
into
going
their
to come back
evidence
as
locker
hemp.
and smoke it. They can smoke it.
It's going to
That's
come back as
why.
hemp, and they know it.
Yeah,
And
well,
that's why
yeah.
they
If it comes
refuse to
out as
test it.
leaf and stem, it will come back as hemp. But they still need to test the buds under a GCMS conditions, because you have to separate the electrons and find out if it's delta 8, delta 9, delta 10, CBDs of whatever up through 10 now, CBDG. They have to tell you through a printout from a GCMS or an HPLC or whatever it is that this is what it is. And if they didn't test it, you need to be. That's where you stop the court case. You look at your lawyers like, this is where you need to be, a motion to dismiss right now. I need a motion to dismiss because they
I
didn't test
sent you the picture of the plant that they have in evidence on social media.
Is this the one on your website, or is this not the one on your website? Is it? I see these pictures on your website. That one.
Well, I just said, yeah, you just got the picture. That's what they have in evidence.
Is that
You can
one?
put that online if you want.
That's that one, because on your website I'm seeing, well, Lefty has something different than I do, because I'm just reading
He's
your
got
banner.
the actual evidence in the evidence locker.
And then they kept it. And they kept it for how long? And it's been going on years, so it's all moldy and it's not even nothing. And if they try to test it now, all it's gonna test for is mold. It's gonna come up as mold.
You can see it too. I was trying to find the video. I did just recently post the video up where they actually.
Della, by the way, I'm gonna say right now, nice root ball. Good going, girl. Nice root ball. At least you know what you're doing.
So this one plant happened to be okay. This is amazing. Occasionally in the plant kingdom, you have a twin, right? And so you have one seed and you have two pod busters coming out, and you know that they can't grow. Okay, so like things can pop. Like it could be a wild plant that you cultivate, right? If something pops up and it's really beautiful, you're like, oh, I can use this. So you could take the one
evidence.
Yeah, that's it.
Are you kidding me? That's their evidence against you? Are you serious? That's the only one they kept. And it's just a picture.
They said they have it.
Oh, they say they have it. Hopefully they kept it. Hopefully they kept it in cryo. They better have kept it in a -20 or a -80, so it at least can keep its form.
No, it's in a paper bag.
Oh, it's done. It's dried out. There's no THC anything in this situation right here. They test that. It's gonna come back worse than hemp. Oh my God. I can't believe we're dealing with this right now. I cannot believe in 2022 that we're having to talk about this right now. That you should be out in your fields tending your crops and doing what you need to do to grow the necessary cannabis medicine for the people around you, whatever the extraction you're going to use this for, because this is absolutely there's got to be a backstory to this. You are under attack. There's got your political enemies or something that of the feathers that you've ruffled. This is a modern day lynching. We're
gonna ruffle them back. Let them know we're coming too.
Yeah,
I was trying to find
I will make a trip. I'll make a trip.
Ridiculous.
There's a video that's pretty amazing when they actually read it. If you can, I can't find it at this moment because I'm just anxious and nervous. But
where on your website is your petition? What's it under?
It's a petition page, isn't it?
Is there a petition? I guess I'll go through all the links. Maybe I got it.
Let me see if I could get.
Oh, I found it. Never mind. I'm exploring your website right now. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, drop all charge. This is ridiculous. And this is what I warned everybody why I came out of California, why I was a part of the cannabis movement out in California, why I came out of it, because of nobody left California and nobody cared about what was going outside of the state of California. And whenever California got under attack by getting rid of Prop 215 and going Prop 64 and messing up there and creating the hugest black market they've ever seen, I decided.
You can share that video if you'd like.
Oh yeah. This is. Oh my God,
Edward, did that go through to you?
Let's see. On Messenger, I got it. Okay, yeah, hold on.
Bless you.
And I just got this body camera
Oh my
footage.
God, Mike. Oh, look at me. My cousin who's in Arkansas says, you make a trip to Missouri, you better stop and see me. No, it ain't about stopping and seeing you, buddy. It's about picking you up and bringing you with me. Because this is the raid. This is their body cam footage.
Can you hear it? If you could push the audio.
Oh, you know what? For some reason, I can't hear audio very well on Facebook.
Oh, because they were saying, are we going to arrest them for these non-illegal plants?
Oh, wait,
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Are we gonna? This is where the people need to understand.
Blake, isn't evidence of him trying to burn down the non-illegal plant in itself evidence?
Oh hell yeah, I'm charging him with fucking. That's what Chris said. Yeah, I'm charging him with tampering evidence. Hey, you think on Memorial Day?
Sheesh. Wow.
And when he was questioned in the deposition about why he said they were non-illegal plants, he said he was joking.
You know what? There are no jokes when it comes to law enforcement, and that's what I was. This is where people have to understand they're raiding people's vegetable gardens because they do not want you to grow your own food. They want you to be in the corporate food mafia. They want you to get your food from the store. They don't want you to grow your own plants. They don't want you to grow anything because they want to control what's coming in and out of our bodies because that's how they inject the poisons.
Well, this is why I want to bring Shirley on. Yeah, Shirley's on here with us, and you want to talk about home grow, right? For a National Home Grow Day or week or something, right?
Yeah. So my big thing is one thing I want to say about the food real quick though before I jump in. Last legislation session, Maine was like the very first state I think to it's your constitutional right to grow your own food and sell, etc. So we voted that in our ballot last session, non-cannabis related. So Maine is awesome when it comes to like protecting small farmers in general. Now, when it comes to the home grow rights, so what we're going to be doing nationwide, there's about 27 people in a group chat from all over the country, and we're going to do a nationwide protest a month long. Now, it doesn't mean your state will protest every day for a month. That would just be insanity. But what we're asking is for protest at least one day that month. In September, we're going to call it Anti-MSO Month. MSO, for anyone that doesn't know, stands for Multi-State Operators. For people like Cureleaf, TrueLeaf, Acreage Holdings is a big one.
Cookies, Bernie. Cookies is multi-state now. He's trying to be multinational and even international at this point. So Burner is
every single one of those people that you just mentioned that own and operate a dispensary or a grow have an attorney on retainer. If you all would just let me use them,
they have to.
Can you send them my way?
Right. Yeah. Every one of them.
You're already paying for one. Yeah, you care about your patients. You're making millions of dollars off of the back of patients. The least you could do is offer a patient some legal support and assistance while you're making millions of dollars and getting in Forbes magazine.
Well, no, not even millions, guys. The first CEO of cannabis is a billionaire. Boris Jordan is the first cannabis billionaire before Berner. No one wants to talk about it. Everyone wants to complain and gripe about Amazon, but no one's griping about Curaleaf. You know, that's the biggest thing, right? Like we're watching these people.
Excuse me, Shirley. Didn't he rip off a bunch of? Didn't they do a bunch of crazy stuff? I mean, didn't they? He took in a bunch of investors' money, and then they shut down, and then their stock prices dove. I can't remember what happened to Curaleaf.
I mean, the biggest thing about Curaleaf is like they lobby against home grows. So they obviously are part of that cognitive wheel of like not wanting people to operate, or wanting the people, the normal ass Joe, to grow cannabis, and that's a red flag, and that's an issue. And
Yes.
frankly, the main reason too why they got put on my shit list is because I personally go to my state house here in Maine, and I've seen the lobbyists that they pay and see, and I give them hell, because those are actually the ones that, you know, it's really the ones that are paying these lobbyists to try to fight against things that we're trying to keep safe here and protect our small farms. That's a big thing. 70% of Maine market aren't even small businesses. They're micro businesses. 70% of Maine cannabis businesses are literally mom and pop shops still. And Maine is one of the only places like that. So we're fighting like hell every single day against these fucking MSOs and lobbyists trying to make everyone's life hard. And meanwhile, not everyone can even grow everywhere in their house. And that's why I had a fucking enough. And I said, you know what? I see so many people on here, on this Instagram, always fighting about and, you know, saying the same shit in different states. And I was like, I'm just going to start emailing people. I'm going to just start calling people. I'm going to start messaging people. Like, hey, you know, I see you. I see you guys out there like having the same issues. I see you guys at your state house. I know people in Maine are at our state house. And it's just like, when's enough of fucking enough? You know,
that's why
deregulate.
that's why I don't want me to get on my soapbox. Is what I was just saying earlier. Deregulation on a federal level. It needs to be deregulated on a federal level, because this is how they're going to control what you grow and what you eat. And this doesn't even include. We're not even talking about. You can put cannabis over here if you want to. But it's talking about they're going to prevent you from growing the multi-number of species of tomatoes. They're going to take you down to one species of tomato. They're going to control you. They're going to control what you process on your own property, and they're going to make you. They're going to make you go to the corporatization stuff, and this is ridiculous.
I saw one of the dispensaries lobbyists at the Capitol recently when I was out there talking about a bill. And he was arguing that the patients don't need to increase plant count because they have so much cannabis that they're unable to get rid of, that's how it ends up at the black market. And there's no reason for growers to have more access because they have enough plants. And they also argued that's a reason that they didn't want to expand the licenses, is that they already have all the medicine for everybody's allotted amount for the next 2 years.
And my thing is, how the hell can they even know that, right? Who the hell is telling people what someone's cannabis consumption is?
And like what it should be, and what it should be.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
a glaucoma patient that I knew had to smoke 18 grams of cannabis a day to keep himself from going blind. That doesn't mean it's the same person.
Robert Randall's got the federal prescription, and his allotted amount was 10 grams a day. That's the federal prescription. That's what the IND, the last remaining IND.
He's one of the last 7 or 6. I don't even know if they're not
even
getting
on. LV got out of the program last year. Irv is the last.
There's no more federal cannabis patients. They're all done.
No, there's one. It's Irv. He gets 300 1-gram joints every month. That's 10 grams a day. That's the federal prescription.
And I bet you it's swag too.
It's awful. I've had it. It's
even
awful.
that outweighs 90% of all states' allotted weight limit. And if you're using it to juice or to make extracts, it requires more, and it requires a perpetual cycle. Like if you grow outdoors, they don't want you to grow outdoors. So like in Missouri, you can't grow outdoors. If somebody can see your plant, have access to it, it has to be in a high tunnel. You have to spend all this money to make sure that it can't be accessed by anybody. It costs a lot.
It has to be like the University of Mississippi. Have you seen the Mississippi grow for the University of Mississippi? How they have the big fence around it. They have the cameras, the lights, and has all this.
And they just increased every year. The DEA is increasing that allotment, even though now they're down to 1 patient. So you tell me, what are they growing for? And who are they growing for?
One other thing is, too, because this was a medical study, right? You guys are referring to.
Are you familiar with the fingerprint identification program at the University of Mississippi that they're using? This is how they raid people, and this is how they arrest people.
What's it called, Adele?
What's it called? Program.
What's it called? Say it again, Adele.
It's a cannabis fingerprint identification program through the University
of
Mississippi.
They do that in Maine in adult use.
Through Dr. Muhammad, Alosi Muhammad. Every time somebody is arrested or raided, they send a little sample to them and they do a fingerprint and check it out. If they find this is like, you're like, how did they get 20 people in this raid? Did somebody narc? No, every person that had it, they could tell that came back to this grow. So they'll get you on conspiracy charges if your marijuana was found in New York.
And that's and they'll throw that a RICO. Then they'll throw you in a RICO.
And they do that. So James Romans, he was busted in Indiana for, they said, called it for marijuana distribution. He didn't have a weed on him, not even a seed. He fought his state charges and he won. The federal government said, yeah, I don't think so. They came after him. He has no priors. They found a jurisdiction in Texas that said he might have driven through our state, our jurisdiction, in our county, in our municipality. We believe he drove through here. He possibly drove through here. On the RICO and the conspiracy, it's from here to there, and everything in between is your charge. Even though they didn't arrest him, they had no weed, they had no seed. They got him, and they sentenced him to life without the possibility of parole in a federal court. And we just got him out 2 years ago. But this happens all the time. We sentence people for life without the possibility of parole, meaning it's a de facto death sentence. We sentence people to death in this country for cannabis every single day. And we act like this.
Especially in Mississippi.
I'm actually a proud felon for 4 ounces of cannabis. I suffered a felon for literally 4 ounces of pot in Pennsylvania, and that's central Pennsylvania, like Penn State area.
Yeah, wear that badge proudly.
What was that?
Wear that badge proudly.
Oh, I do. That's the first thing I say when I give public testimony. I say, "Hello, my name is Derek Shirley. I'm a proud felon for cannabis." Yep. But anyway, that's my biggest drive and motivation, because I'm one of the lucky ones. I always tell people, right? Like, I'm the one that actually gets to speak up and gets to talk out, because I for whatever reason, call it white privilege, call it because it was my first crime, call it whatever you will. I don't really care what people call it, but I was able to get out and be able to just carry a felony. But even years later, it still affects my life. I can't own a gun technically. I still can't do all over 4 ounces of flour. And that's what drives me to keep fighting, doing this nationwide shit, because I would like to think if I was sitting in there, there's a bunch of fucking people out there giving it all they fucking got to let me out, even if they don't know me. And that's what really fucking drives me, because like that could be, frankly, let's be real, that could be any one of us, right? So
I had a similar situation in New Mexico. I mean, I had a similar situation in Arizona and New Mexico. And the only reason why I'm not sitting in jail today is because I was smarter than the judge. I was smarter than the prosecutor. I was smarter than my attorney. And I led my attorney by her hand and said, we got to do this, this, and this. And by doing this, this, and this, you break the court. The court gets to a point where they're not going to send you to jail. They're going to put you on probation if they convict you, because they're going to 99, like she said, 99% of the time they're going to convict you. But where you want to go with that conviction is you'd rather go to probation, because once you go to probation, you can really start throwing medicinal at them, because then they can't drug test you for cannabis. And that's what you do to these people, is you start making their lives miserable. Like, oh, we don't want this person in our system. We got to get them out, because everybody's going to start hearing about what she's doing or what he's doing. And then it's gonna break it all open. That's why I turned to Lefty, because we want a nationwide patient network where we have representatives in every state, all 50 states. We need to have it covered, where we talk, we discuss, we understand what's going on in Maine, what's going on in Missouri, what's going on here in Texas, what's going on in New Jersey. Everybody that's listening to this podcast right now, when it gets out to certain people, is that the time now, it's not the time to sit on your hands and say, oh, we just got recreational in our state, we're good.
We're good.
No.
Or we have home grow rights in our state, we're good. No, we need to stand in solidarity for the people that don't have what we have in cannabis.
Well, look what happened in California. They had it with Prop 215. Then Kamala Harris and her grubby little people and all the little greedy people, and I don't want to start putting people on blast, but the people that signed on for Prop 64 created a situation where homegrown wasn't allowed. The little small stuff isn't allowed. Only the corporate people are allowed. Only people paying $100,000 for their licenses were allowed. This is where we need to start saying and start Preach it.
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Y'all need to run for office. Everybody needs to run for office. The only way to
Try
make
to.
real change is to be the people in the legislative body that are putting the change through.
Well, who
That's
wants to be
really
the next
truly what it is.
Some felons can't, though. These
I
people
can't.
have felonies and literally can't, though. You know what I mean? So that's part of the issue.
So we always talk about doing like a nationwide thing. And if we did one nationwide project, I believe would be the most beneficial, and that would be a not guilty day. That every
Yeah,
single
no
person
kidding.
that has to go to court
Well,
just for
the
one
thing
day
is that
says
I
not
like that.
guilty.
the most
You
people
could
don't
crash the
understand.
system.
The most people don't
No.
understand. Everybody's looking at the map like it's a red state, a blue state. Most people don't look at the green map. Look at the green map, people. Look at how
Let me
many
read you
states.
something.
Right? I just said
Can I
that.
read
Yep.
something to y'all really
Swing
quick?
states will be green states.
And
This
that
is
and this is
this
what
is
we're trying to
something
do now.
I call the truth. So people need to realize that the justice system is non-extinct. For the most part, it's apt to be called the just us system. In
Yup.
reality, it's set up to work against the citizens, contrary to what people have been conditioned to believe. So let's take a look at something many don't like to acknowledge: reality. The police officer who writes you a ticket or arrests you works for the state. The attorney you hire is licensed by the state. The prosecutor who wants to throw you in jail or prison works for the state. The judge who oversees the court proceeding works for the state. The jail or prison that you go to, all employees there work for the state. The prohibition parole officer you get assigned to works for the state. All fines and fees that are assessed to you by the court goes to the state. You see, the system is set up to benefit the state. If there were very few arrests, it would not be good for the just us system. It would not be good for the pay, careers, pensions, and retirement for the employees of the state. It's in their best interest to create a work in a police state. The more arresting and jailing of the citizens, the more secure their jobs are. Sadly, most people still believe that the employees of the state are here to serve and protect or represent we the people. The reality of it is they are not. Occasionally, just like a random winner in a casino, a citizen may get real justice system to help keep up the illusion that the system works, but the reality it's rare. And I end this with a quote from Upton Sinclair. See, it's difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on his not understanding of it. And when you're in court, it becomes painfully obvious that everybody there but you can go home. If I am there by threat of arrest and detention, if I don't show up to court, I would be a criminal and violating more statutes that's not criminal to begin with. Not showing up to court is not a criminal action, but it's a criminal action when you're mandated and you fail to appear. It becomes a criminal action. When you're on bond and you can't drink alcohol, drinking alcohol over the age of 21 is not a crime. It becomes a criminal effect. If you bounce a check while you're on bond, that's a criminal statute. It's not a crime to accidentally bounce a check. These become crimes that are compiled upon one another. That's why they get as many charges as they can and throw them all at you so that they can plea bargain with you, take some away, make it seem like they're giving you something. In the reality, you didn't even break the law in the first place, or the law you may have broke is unjust. And that's why I advocate for everybody not to just vote. When you get that jury duty summons, get excited about it. It's your civil duty and responsibility. You are that fourth branch of the government. You have the ability to vote not guilty, not just on the crime, but on the law. You can change somebody's life if you just did your civic duty and responsibility. If you can vote, vote. If you can run for office, run for office. When you get that summons for jury duty, be excited about being able to give back to it. You may miss a day of work or a couple days of work, but you're helping create a new way forward, using a science base, using empathy, using compassion. And you have the ability to do that. Don't be swayed by other people. Use what you want in your heart and what you think is right. So it's very difficult. It's extremely difficult for anybody who's not been in a situation, who's not been to court, who's not been arrested or had a gun shoved in their face for a plant. It's easy to wear a felon with pride, but it's also very difficult when you understand how many things and doors are shut because you're a felon, how many things you can't get, how many jobs you can't apply for, the fact that you can't vote.
Housing.
Housing.
And housing, dude. You can't even find a place. You couldn't even find a place to live. How to convince someone that you weren't a drug dealer? Because the way the law is in Pennsylvania, anything over 28 grams was an intent to deliver, even if you weren't selling drugs. So if you had over an ounce of weed, you were selling drugs according to the state of Pennsylvania. So then when you try to apply in a place to live, you had to basically do a song and dance, and babe better have 2 times as much cash as everyone else to put down. That's been my life for the last 10 years. You know what I mean? Even now, it still pops up. So for me, it's like, this is why I get fired up, and people see me screaming and always hooting and hollering, because like, I know that shit fucking sucks. And it's not even it's not even, it's really the after the math, right? It's really after you get out of jail. You think you're free and clear. You think you served your time to society. And then next thing you know, you're you're trying to
And I agree. I want people to realize too, to stop justifying cannabis arrests. Like, it doesn't matter if that person had over a pound or if that person didn't have a license. There is no justification for incarcerating somebody for cannabis. Like, those people that you're calling a criminal for over a pound, other people are calling heroes because they don't have that access. And if it wasn't for this person willing to take on that task of doing that, then you wouldn't have your access to cannabis. So just because you mean to live in a legal state, there is no legal. Let me clarify that to y'all in the United States of America. There is not a legal state for marijuana in this country. There is not a legal state. There are some lawful states that you have to play by their rules and regulations, but there's no such thing as legal. If it was legal, nobody would be arrested, period. And when we go, I'm legal, no, you're not. You're lawful. You jumped through the hoops that you needed to. You paid off who you needed to, and that's why you have it. But that's not equality for everybody. Equality for everybody.
That's what you just said earlier in your little statement there. Just us. It's the justice system was set up for the advantage for people that can afford the lawyers. I mean, we're seeing it every day. I mean, I'm glad that people got to see what happens when a political machine is used against its opponents on a presidential level finally. So that you're now seeing somebody that they didn't want in office. Everybody wanted him in office, whether you're a big Trumper or not. This guy stepped in and wanted to throw monkey wrenches in all the systems and put a hole to it. And then the next election that happens, we saw a banana republic take over, and now we have stolen elections. You have the first time in history where the FBI, the highest law enforcement in the land, is now being pointed against a former president who is now a U.S. citizen, and they're trying to figure out and put him in jail to silence him. And this is the things of China. This is the things of Russia. This is the things of Venezuela. This is what a banana republic is like. This is not what a constitutional republic, which is what we are. Everybody needs to understand this. Is go over it. We're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. We're a land of laws, and we're ruled by laws. And if the laws are just for a set of few people to run, I would love to be Hunter Biden at this point. I would love to be Hunter Biden. I could be a pedophile, I could be a crackhead, and I could go around and I could get all this money and be just basically a mafioso type individual. And I hope they come to my door and say this to me. Come on, FBI. Come on, CIA. Come on,
doing it.
I'm here. I'm waiting for it.
All of them are doing it.
They're all doing it. I'm waiting for you to turn your politicization of our political system and our law enforcement. And I know it's on a small level. You have to understand this doesn't just happen on a huge level. There's a county north of me in Hemphill County. It's a funny name for the county, by the way. But in this county, there was a boy that was murdered. And there was 3 rich families in there. That one of the 3 families, this poor boy his name is Tom Brown. You can go out on Spotify and search Tom Brown, and you can listen to this podcast. It's 45 minutes from my mom's house, and this boy was murdered. He was a high school athlete. He was a 2-time state champion. He was murdered by these kids of these 3 rich families. They swept it underneath the rug. Nobody's been convicted of it for him now. It's now in the Attorney General's hands down in Austin, and we're still waiting. This happened like 5, 6, 7 years ago, waiting for them to tell us who they're going to charge in this murder. And it's been swept under the rug. And this is what's going to happen, people, to just people that don't have the resources like you, Adela, like me, Lefty, Shirley. We don't have the resources. We don't have the billions of dollars of slush fund money to be able to bail us out every time I want to go out and be a pedophile or be like, and to go smoke crack with Russian spies. This is a situation that it's getting very tenable. And the cannabis industry, the cannabis movement, the people that are really into the cannabis industry and cannabis movement that have been in it for years and years and years, we know what's going on because we've been through it. Shirley's been through it. He's been right through the coals. You're going through it. Adela, you've been right through the coals. I've been through it. If anybody's ever been arrested for either misdemeanor or felony, you've been put on paperwork, you've been through this system and you know how this works. And this is a rigged system from the beginning. It's rigged from day one. The minute they came in, the local sheriff and the people that were in your little municipality there in Missouri, they knew exactly what they were doing. They were caught on body cam saying, should we arrest her for her tomato plants? Should we take that weight? Because they knew once they put it in storage, it's going to all end up into a heap of nothing, a heap of mass that we can then say she got busted with 1,000 pounds, 1,000 pounds of dirt, 1,000 pounds of root, 1,000 pounds of stem, 1,000
pounds of mold.
Yeah.
Hey, I have to head out, guys. I just want to thank you for your time today. I just want to.
Hey, Shirley, I will be emailing you.
Shirley, how do we get in touch with you to get involved in the other states? How can they reach out?
They can really just keep you guys, right? You guys are in the nationwide group. Keep posting stuff from New Jersey. Anyone that follows these guys here, they'll be posting New Jersey stuff. If you want to follow me, Getting High with Cats on Instagram, I also have been trying to post multiple state things. Feel free to reach out to me. You can email me at gettinghighwithcats@gmail.com. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions or point you into the right direction of I don't think anyone is as a leader. I think everyone's just trying to do their part. The closest thing to titles we have in the nationwide group is the green pins, because I just put green pins on the map where everyone is. So that's the closest thing to titles we have in our group. I don't really like titles. I really don't like logos. I just like people doing their part. So keep doing their part in your area, and we're going to play a zone defense and crush these MSOs. So thank you for your time today, guys. I appreciate it.
Are you on Facebook too, or?
Yeah, Facebook's fine too, but Instagram's my big one. Getting High with Cats.
Okay, cool.
It's kind of like my biggest platform I use.
I want to tag you.
Yeah, feel free to. Or you can hit up the old email, the old Gmail, the same thing. Getting High with Cats.
Right on.
gmail.com. So, all right, guys, I appreciate your time. If you wanted to send me a pigeon, a homing pigeon, I might accept that as well. That's another. I can send you the coordinates. Have a good one, guys.
Send a drone.
See you
later. That's so funny.
They did use drones on my property. That's the one.
Of course they did. How do you think they got the image? Now, thank God that you weren't like in Mendocino and Sonoma County with the trees that they grow up there. Because I've seen farms that had the pot plants that we grew in Mendocino and Humboldt and Sonoma County. You could see those bad boys from space. So they were as big as apple trees.
They did use the helicopter from the National Guard, and then they used a drone. And there was an officer who brought his own private drone that they had over. But in the state of Missouri, you're supposed to authorize a drone for a warrant. They didn't do that. But before, it's okay. So the first raid, they had a warrant. The second raid, they didn't have a warrant, and they just came in. But, the reason I had heard them the day of the raid was I had heard I heard the drone, and I was outside gardening, and I was nude. And because I have a 5-acre lake, so I go swimming, and I come up, and I hang around my property. I'm in 8 acres. And they submitted that video into evidence. There's no evidentiary value. It's just me gardening naked. And they zoomed in on me so you could see everything. And they did it twice.
That's a violation that's a federal violation of your Fourth Amendment invasion.
And then I asked them to seize that evidence and not distribute it to the attorneys because I didn't want everybody, the prosecutors, law enforcement's already seen it. And they said, we will agree not to share that video if you agree not to sue us for Brady violations.
Oh,
They
these
try to
guys.
blackmail me and say we won't just. But if you don't agree not to sue us, then we will distribute the video. So I said, fine, distribute the video.
Because I'm gonna sue the shit out of you.
Yeah, that's extortion.
It's extortion, and of course, I didn't have any representation in court because the courts refused to give me representation.
The best thing you can do when you go to this is appearing as pro se, because it means a lot whether you're in family law court or criminal court. If you step in there by yourself and you're challenging the system, I know, like if you're up for murder, I'll get a lawyer. If you're up for things like that, that's different. But when we're dealing with what we're dealing with right now, in the long run, it shows how the system is designed to railroad you. And
they've refused to hear any motion that I filed without representation. The judge would just deny it right off the bat and said, "I'm not going to hear it till you get."
Well, then this is why the next motion that your lawyer needs to put in is, I want to change a venue. I want to change a venue, change a judge. I need to change a venue because this court is hostile. This is a hostile court towards my case. I would like it moved to the Capitol or moved somewhere else out of this little small bodunk situation that you're in, because they're using not only the local law enforcement, the local sheriffs, and the local courts, whether it's a justice of the peace or their little county courts that they have, city court, county courts. They're using that to railroad you. And that's,
I'd like for them to send it to tribal court.
And that's even better. You can ask for a change of venue. That's what you should do in your next when the immediately go in. You want to throw a monkey wrench into this situation for them. You ask for you ask.
They could send me to a tinier town.
Well, no, you have to. The tribal court would be the best thing. Change of venue, preferably thing.
Tribal court. Wow.
Tribal court. Change the venue. Change your venue, and they have to. And I don't think they can send you to a smaller court. They have to send you up. They have to send you up the chain. They have to send you to maybe Kansas City. They have to send you to more.
I wish. Okay, so like I'm right next to Columbia, and if y'all don't realize that Columbia is decrimmed. If I was arrested in Columbia, there would be no charges.
Yeah, you got to get a change of venue. You got to get out of. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to dox you in what little city you're in, but whatever little county you're in.
I'm in Callaway County. Everybody should know. I'm in a prison county. It only exists. There's a prison, there's a jail, there's the state hospital for the incarcerated.
Oh, that's all corrupt over there.
Facility.
That's totally corrupt.
That's corrupt. And that's where this is how it works. That's where the local sheriff is the local sheriff. His brother owns the tow truck yard, the tow yard, and then his cousins and everybody else are the judges and everything else.
True.
This is how it's. I mean, there was a Amazon did with they just had a show on there. God, I'm trying to think of it. I can't remember the name of the show. It starts with an R. I'll figure it out here in a second. That's the way it was in some small little town in Georgia where everybody's related and they've seized control of the local levels of not only law enforcement and everything else. It's gotten to a point where we've got to start standing up as citizens. We're citizens of a planet, people. We're not citizens of just the United States. This is why things are getting hairy right now with Ukraine and with Russia and with China and with North Korea and all this other stuff. It's because people forget that we're human beings. If any time we need the aliens to come down, it's now. It's now. Because it will unify the planet. We will all be like, oh crap, we're human beings. We're not just Americans or Mexicans or whatever. Oh my God. I'm gonna get this. It's on the tip of my lung.
I don't think we're ready yet.
And then to further it, I am like federal, so I am a sovereign citizen of the Cherokee Nation, right? So technically my citizenship, I don't believe they even have jurisdiction over me. But I did want to say, though, that I am in the middle.
I got the name of the show. It's called Reacher. If everybody's out there, anybody has Amazon, watch Reacher. And this is a similar situation where things happen in these small counties and towns where things can get out of control, where they can cover up murder. They can cover up high crimes and misdemeanors. And whenever that becomes where they've violated their oath of office, because all of these judges and all of these prosecutors and all of these cops take that oath that says I'm going to defend the Constitution and Bill of Rights against all enemies, foreign and domestic. This is a domestic enemy right now.
And that's why you should be voting locally, because the sheriff that raided me, he was elected. The judges, I've had 7 judges. They're all elected. The prosecutor's elected.
Yep.
If you really want to do change, you vote those people out.
I've threatened to run. I've threatened to, because my mom lives in a small town of 45
That's way to get raided.
I was going to because I plan on moving out of the city that I'm in living now, and I want to move up to a smaller town to where my mom lives. It's a town of 45 people, but it's the county seat. And I've threatened. I told my mom, I was like, if I move up there, I'm running for office. It's like, oh no, what are you going to do? I was like, I'll run for judge. I'll be the sitting judge in the county. And anytime because they're right on the border of Oklahoma and Texas. So 15 minutes from my mom's house, they've got huge pot farms growing for Oklahoma, because Oklahoma doesn't have a plant limit for their licenses. There's no plant limits for the dispensaries and no plant limits for the growers. So you got people, they got thousands and thousands of plants just 15 minutes from where my mom lives. And I've threatened to go into this little county right next to Hemphill County. And you go into, I'll run for judge in a wheelchair too. And even though I don't have a law degree or anything like that, I'm smart enough to understand that these court cases are coming across me, that the DA is sending me charges to. I'll be like, no, DA, just restart rejecting these charges, because
I am actually looking for an expert witness. Every person that I've came across doesn't quite have the criteria that I believe is necessary to be able to fight
that's
it.
Why that's why I mentioned Chris Conrad on a national level. Everybody knows who Chris Conrad is. He was best friends with Jack Harrer.
I'm looking for somebody who has a degree in botany, though. I don't want somebody like that.
Okay.
We'll talk about that. Email me. I hate to do this to y'all, but I do have to go. My mom keeps giving me
all right,
a call.
I'll get you through your website. I'll hit you through your website.
Yeah, Adela.wisdom@gmail. Email me if anybody else, like, you can. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can find me on all of that.
On your website. You got
really
a bot this right here. You got one right here.
Yeah.
Yes. So email me, and I'd like to go back and forth, and I'll send my information or your information to my attorney, who can contact you, and we can go from there. But I'm really, I apologize that I hadn't come on earlier. I know
good luck to you. Good luck to you.
No, that's fine. Thank you. And we'll have you on again whenever you want to talk. I know your court case is coming up, so whenever you want to, strategize.
I just kind of want to leave this disclosure or disclaimer for law enforcement. Nothing I said in this is constituting guilt. I have not admitted that I have committed a crime. The plants, the cannabis, alleged said plants you seized from my property are at best hemp. If y'all would test it, you would understand that. If you do subpoena this video, I'm asking and officially requested that you submit a subpoena to all the guests that were in addition on the show, so that I can use it as evidence.
Rock on. I'll be there.
Yeah.
And if I have to, I will show up in person. If they won't let me do it over Zoom because I'm in a wheelchair, I'll show up in person. And that'll make it even worse, because there's nothing worse than a crippled person in a wheelchair rolling through a courtroom and telling the judge and the jury and the sheriff and everybody else, the prosecutor, making them look as heartless as they really are.
I agree with you 100%. So thank you, gentlemen, for having me on. I
Good
really
luck.
appreciate it. And I'll come back on again and let y'all know what's happening.
Yeah, let me know. Get a change of venue. Tribal court.
Right on.
Thank you. Y'all have a blessed day. Thank you again.
You
Stay
too.
safe.
God bless.
And I want to leave it with this. Always remain silent. Never consent to a search, because if you do, anything they find in your car can and will be used against you. So
In a court of law.
be safe and be protected.
Say nothing and deny everything.
Yep.
Have a great day, guys.
You
Bye.
too.
Guys, see you later. Wow, Lefty, what did you do to me?
Yeah. This is what patients all over the country are going through.
What did you do to me today? I mean, I was in a great mood. I woke up.
So was I.
And all of a sudden, now I'm ready to fill up the van.
Give me some numbers. Give me names and numbers to call. I'm ready.
Dude, I'm like, oh my God.
I'm sick. I'm disgusted right now. I'm cursing. I'm so mad.
Oh my God. Makes it's the situation and this is why when I first contacted you, that I was just wanting to do I was wanting to do something like I did with Weed Maps and with Uprooted, just kind of exposing it, putting out a video. I had no clue when I starting this nationwide patient network situation where we want representatives from all 50 states, that we'd start stumbling across a person in every state that has a horror story
Yeah.
of how they're being raped over the coals by their local law enforcement. The system was set up to protect us. This is laws were meant to protect the local citizenry, not be used against them to railroad them and to try to seize property and to put them in jail. This is, oh God. Oh my God. I mean, if anything, if I could just have a truth serum that we could just take in like Batman or like Scarecrow and just spray a bunch of stuff in a room that just all of a sudden enlightens all these people to understand what they're doing, because it's their karma they're going to have to deal with. I'm sorry, man. The judge's karma, the prosecutor's karma, the sheriff's karma, because eventually this is going to get out there, man, because you never know. I can guarantee you that sheriff in that local little county where Adela is, he's involved in some way, shape, or form with the local drug dealers, and he's taking kickbacks in some way, shape, or form. It happens in all those little counties. All the local sheriffs are as crooked as they come. Wow. And then you have the guy from Pennsylvania, Shirley. He was in. They call Pennsylvania Pennsyltucky for a reason. Because they're so backwards, and they're right next to New Jersey and New York. You'd think they'd be at least, got their shit together, but nope. It's in those little small towns, little small municipalities where a sheriff runs all the thing, and all of a sudden his brother Billy Bob owns the wrecker service, and they own the tow yard, and then the sheriff this and that, and everybody's related, and all of a sudden you're just being run up and down a flagpole and finding yourself sitting in a jail cell. I've been there. But I wasn't run by a family system, but I got into a system in Alamogordo. There was a system in Arizona as well. My story in Arizona was funny because the reason why my poundage went molding is because the Arizona Highway Patrol guy that arrested me had glaucoma and diabetes. And I'm like, okay, that's where my weed went. It went to the glaucoma patient.
Wow.
So, it's so much corruption, and it's just not on a federal level, people. Can we understand? Can we dust out the cobwebs out of our brains and realize, just look in your local system. Now, I love where I live. I mean, I'm going to say it right now. I'm not going to go any further south. I love living in the Panhandle. I love the local PD that I've met, that I've got to know, and I've actually gotten to know on a totally different level. I have had the utmost respect for the boys in blue, because they're having to deal with the messes that are being out there. But within that system, within the court systems, and with all this stuff, there is still room for improvement. I'm begging for the feds. I beg the feds, go ahead, come right in here. Come without a warrant, come knocking on my door, come raid my facility. And I come raid my studio right here, right now. Kick in, SWAT me, do whatever you got to do, which y'all do with Tim Pool all the time, just because Tim Pool and his gang are out there talking the real issues. It'll be the worst thing you could possibly do. It'll be the worst thing you could do, because it'll be on blast. It'll be on blast. And I have no problem going to jail. I'll say that right now. I have a problem with being murdered in jail. I have a problem with being injected with some form of poison and saying, oh, he just died from complications of MS in jail. But if that happens, then you're going to unleash the hounds, because then you're going to get my mom involved. Once my mom gets involved, that's when I usually get scared, is once my mom comes out of her little cubby hole and brings her experience and starts challenging. My mom stopped an initiative here in the state of Texas from chopping down oak trees on the side of the road. The Texas Department of Public Safety wanted to chop down all our trees along our roads because they were afraid people were going to hit them driving down the road. So they wanted to chop down all the old growth oak trees and trees in the state of Texas. My mom got the Texas Department of Public Safety to stop that. So if she can do that, imagine what she could do if they murdered her son behind behind in an incarceration situation. Holy, I just when unleashing the Kraken, that's one thing I don't do. I'm not going to unleash the Kraken at this point in time. You can deal with me until it's necessary, and I've been doing this for a long time. But man, Lefty, wow, she has, oh my God. And the amount of violations that they did to her just by using surveillance and all this other stuff. When this is all said and done, she needs to sue, and sue some more. You need to get your coin, girl. You need to make them lose their jobs, and then she needs to get her coin from the local law enforcement.
Yeah, she'll win. She'll win. She just has to outlast them.
And that's why going in there and asking for a change of venue, tribal court would be great, because the minute it goes on tribal court, they're just like, we ain't gonna mess with this. Get this out of here. So it's just, you got to fight fire with fire, and then you can't just roll over and take it. And that's what happens in these court situations. A lot of people, when they get arrested, they want to plea it out. They want to take their charge, and they want to get put on probation, be a felon or whatever. And
how would she do that? How would she get to tribal court from where she's at now?
I mean, the only thing she can do at this point, if she's a bona fide member of a tribe, she has got to petition somebody at the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And then, and for her, if there's the local tribe there in Missouri, whatever it is, because they're all split up all over the country now, whether you're Cherokee, what is it, up in the Lakota Sioux, up in North Dakota and South Dakota, whatever it is in Missouri, there's a tribe that has superseded over that little area. She's just got to approach the local Bureau of Indian Affairs for that local county where she is, and then petition them. It's like, hey, I'm a member, I'm an Indian, I'm getting screwed here. Y'all need to help me. And if you don't help me, it's going to look bad for you guys. You're aware that Oklahoma was turned over to the Indians, right? There's only a sliver of Oklahoma that is actually the state of Oklahoma. The rest of it, the Treaty of 1866, which they signed and it was all creating the reservations in Oklahoma. That now the Indians control. They're like they're over the state now, or what it was, because Oklahoma's still in its situation, but they supersede the cities and the counties in this one area. So she'd have to probably get a hold of somebody at the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And if she can't get a hold of her local representative, she needs to find the local representative in that area that deals with Indian affairs. And if she's on a reservation or in a reservation territory or close to it, she can probably go visit their office. Maybe I would have to. This is not something I would call. I would go visit my representative at the Bureau of Indian Affairs. That's what my dad would say. Oh, Joe, we got to get those guys involved, because those guys aren't to be messed with. Look what they've done. Look what they've done for Indians in the last, I don't know, 25 or 30 years. They've made them billionaires. There's very few Indian reservations out here in my part of the country that aren't that's where all the casinos are. I know I got some north of me up in Oklahoma. That's where all the Indian casinos are. They're all on Indian land, or Indian-ish, which is that it's really weird. People can't. It's not just how your U.S. maps are. We have our territories, we have our borders and stuff, but with that, there's superseded territorial control put over on certain things. The feds are over one side of it, and then you have this multi-layered, and that's why when they did Homeland Security, when they did that with the Patriot Act, it brought all of the departments in the federal government under one banner, which is Homeland Security. So understanding how the layering of things that you can't even see affect you. And it's man, boy, Lefty, man, what are we going to do? It's one of these things which you just want to pray to your guardian angels and pray to the heavens that what would Jesus do? Well, I hope Jesus would come down and be on our side, but God, we need something like that to happen. We need some UFOs. We need something to start coming down and start putting these people in their places, because if not, they're going to kill us all. They're going to kill us all, and they're going to all throw us in prisons. We're still the largest incarcerated country on the planet. I don't know how many. We're still we beat China, we beat Russia, we beat all these other G7s and G8s and G20s. We incarcerate more people than any other country, and it's all because of this kind of bullshit. You know, local law enforcement didn't have anything better to do, so they're picking on a woman. They're picking on a woman that has a garden in her backyard with cannabis plants. Oh, man. They better be glad I don't live up there, and that's what I said. I got 160 acres that I have access to that I'm waiting for the switch to go, and I'm filling it up. I'm filling it up with vegetables. I'm filling it up with tomatoes. I'm filling it up with everything I can, and then there's going to be a whole section of cannabis and cannabis-related products because I'm just waiting. And if I die, it goes to my son, and it goes to my relatives, and it goes with specific instructions of this is what you're doing. This is what you're going to do. We have like freshwater. We have 4 freshwater wells out there. I don't need to worry about water. All I have to do is get out there and start. And I can hook up to the grid, but at this point, I don't want to be on the grid. You know, be able to have my own power out there. And I've got plans already set up with my sister to be able to. That's where, when I leave here, that's where my mom wants to put me. She wants to put me out at the farm. And for that matter of reason, because I'm far enough away from everybody that I could do whatever I want out there. And I ain't going to be owning guns. I ain't going to be stockpiling C4. I ain't going to be doing any kind of craziness out there. I'm going to be growing everything I possibly need to survive. And I've proven, actually, I think I got this picture on my phone. I think I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show you I'm going to show you the garden that I grew in California, hoping that the Huntington Beach Police Department would raid my house. I was begging them. I wanted them to do it. I just wanted them to do it, man, because it was one of those things where you have a situation where, you know, I was threatening to set up a whole grow room in a house. I had a whole plan. My friends was like, "What are you going to grow?" I was like, "I was going to grow vegetables, man." And I was just begging the local law enforcement through the reading of because your smart meters will tell you how much energy you're using. I wanted them to raid me. I thought it'd have been a great idea. Imagine what we could have done if they would have raided me and kicked over a bunch of vegetable plants, tomato plants. That'd have been hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, you got to film all that stuff for TikTok, and that's what you got to do nowadays. Put them on blast because I like being on blast.
Yeah, put them on blast. And this is the shameful. Oh, here it is. I got it. Okay, okay. Hold on a second. Jen's gonna be so mad when I do this, but I'm gonna share it to you. I'll share it to you and Messenger. Where's Messenger? Dang it. I'm going to send it to you via text because it's not letting me do it in Messenger. Best available. Okay. Let me see.
So next week is the Scutori Cup. We're having a protest and a cannabis cup at Senator Scutori's office. And this is a very personal thing.
Is it going to be in his office?
Yeah, it is outside his office, and we're going to do it outside as a protest. And if you're a medical cannabis patient, you can petition to be a judge. We have a few judges already. We have Mario Ramos is going to judge. We have Jay Lassiter is going to judge. I believe Adam and Seth are judges. Who else is our celebrity judge? Is Tommy Chong coming to judge? I don't know. He's not a patient in New Jersey. He would have to turn.
Well, do you have to be a patient in New Jersey, or can you just be a cripple? You have to actually be a registered patient?
Yeah, because as a patient, you could smoke cannabis in public, and that's what we're going to use.
So what does it take to be a patient there? Do you have to come there, get your driver's license, get an ID? You have to go through the whole process?
Yeah, it costs you a couple $100 probably, unless you know somebody, and you could do it in a day though.
So, but you have to have an ID out of Jersey?
or a PO box.
Or a PO box. Oh, so you have to establish. You have to have a residency status.
Some kind of PO box.
Something to be able, something to be able to say that so you can receive mail.
Yeah.
Because I had for a while, I had medicinal status in California, Arizona, and I was going for it in Colorado, and they threw a monkey wrench in there because then they said you actually had to be a resident of Colorado, which means you have to go get like a PO box. You have to then go to the DMV. You have to get your driver's license or get an ID. And the thing about getting the ID thing is that they've made it to where you can't have multiple IDs from multiple states now. So if you have if you have a driver's license out of Texas, they'll make you turn in that driver's license to get an ID out of Colorado. So it makes it really hard that's why this nationwide patient network would be nice, so that if patients are recognized from other states, and that down around here, they're doing it like like Louisiana, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma is now recognizing patients from other states. So if you're a patient in a patient program in like Arkansas, you can drive across the border and you can get your cannabis in Oklahoma. But wow, what a like they say, what a clusterfuck. I mean, it's just yeah, well, good. I mean, I'm glad you guys are having your first cannabis cup, and what better way to have it and have Tommy come out? How did that happen?
Yeah, good job, Chris Goldstein and Poe.
Yeah, there it is. Okay, so this was my patio in Huntington, and if you can see where all the plants are growing, they're all in the trays, and they're all there's lavender in the front there. There's tomato plants, tomatoes in the middle, back over to the right. There was zucchinis and all that stuff. So what I had done, and I had taken those are 4x4 trays. Yeah, those are 4x4s. I elevated them, and I was growing my vegetables, and on a patio that reached in the summer, you get up to 132 degrees out there because of the direct sun. So yeah, this was my that's funny. That's my Jersey girl right there. That's Jen. Hopefully she doesn't know. I just put her on blast. Nobody's watching anyways. But yeah, that's Jersey Jen from Bayonne, New Jersey.
I should know her.
You probably do. I think she went to what's the two high schools in Bayonne? Liberty or what's the
Holy Mary, Holy Family, and Bayonne.
Bayonne. She went to trying to think of the college or the high school that she went to. She went to Rutgers.
Okay.
So she did Rutgers, but yeah, that was taken in like I said, November of 2017 on my security camera. She was had a security cam up pointed at my vegetable garden. Didn't want anybody stealing I didn't want the raccoons to steal my veggies because there was a family of raccoons living out of the gutters that would come up. But it was all to protect the garden there. And that's what the University of Mississippi has to do. That's what they want you to do in order to grow cannabis, is that you have to put up chain link fence, concertina wire, cameras, full-time security. You have to have everything covered by security. And for me, that little apartment complex I was living in, I was growing enough food on that patio to hand out to the other. There was I think there were 8 or 9 units in that little apartment complex. I was growing enough food for all those other families to have fresh vegetables, and especially the tomatoes. That one center tray had every pot was a different type of tomato, from cherry tomatoes to beefsteak to whatever. That was me when I was productive. That was definitely me when I was productive. What are you doing here, Bungholio? Oh, you got a video you're gonna play?
This is we're gonna end the show with Jeff as we usually do.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get it to play here.
You got it there.
Oh no.
Oh wow, is this the city council?
It doesn't play sometimes. I don't know why. Here, try it. No, I don't hear it.
And he's no longer with us, is he?
No, he passed away. That's not working. Try it again. Hold on.
Here, I'll mute my mic, so maybe that'll do it.
A lot of times when I make it smaller, it works. Here we go.
It's good. Can you let us know your name and address? Sure. My name is Jeffrey Oakes, from Oceanport, New Jersey, 60 Pemberton Avenue. It's good to be out again, speaking publicly. I've been a little under the weather, to say the least. I had 50% of my liver removed in April. And I'm here to talk tonight about medical cannabis and the ban. You guys have a ban in place on the sale of medical cannabis, correct?
In the town of Seaward, yes.
Yes. That's what I'm here to talk about. And I understand the demographics of Seagar. It's a small town, and the dispensary wouldn't necessarily fit in to the town. And we get that. But when the towns all band together, it creates a terrible shortage of medication for the patients that are in the New Jersey medical marijuana program, that overwhelmingly, probably up to 75% of the citizens of the state support. My friends here, they're artists, they're performers. We have fun with our illnesses. We're all very seriously ill from illness. So what I would ask is everybody just relax and try to have an open mind and hear us out, because we have no lawyers with us. We have no doctors with us. Medication that we use is illegal at the federal level, but yet it's legal for us to carry and use in accordance with the Board of Health. But the fact that the program is so young, it's difficult for the patients to navigate, and the politics of it, which we're here tonight addressing, becomes very difficult for us. I've been dealing with cancer for 4 years, and at the same time, I've been fighting to have my medication be normalized and be given respect without a stigma. I know that stigma exists. For this past weekend, I was assaulted for medicating in public by just another citizen who took offense to me. That person is under arrest today, I believe. And that's what I have to go through, and my friends have to go through, to use a medication that is safer than what is offered by pharmaceutical companies, and that is, the source of our opioid appetite here in New Jersey and across the United States. What I would ask the council here tonight is to, this may sound weird, I guess, but keep your ban, but at the same time, consider a resolution that would support medical cannabis rather than just saying no to cannabis, to medical cannabis. And that would help the patients a lot. I mean, I stand here today as a recipient of my own activism. And my friends also took a big part in the legislation that is known now as Jake's Law. That was passed about 2 months ago, signed into effect by the governor. And I stand here before you tonight. Take a good look at me, if you will. I'm probably one of the first patients in New Jersey to have an unlimited monthly amounts of cannabis, being I'm considered terminal. So that's what we're up against. And I'm up here literally dying in front of you, advocating for myself and advocating for there's probably over 60,000 patients here in New Jersey. And it's only going to get bigger. And the goal of most of the patients that I'm familiar with is to stay active with their disabilities, treat their disease or their ailment, and not be hooked on dangerous pharmaceuticals. People want choice. That's what it's about. It's not about recreation. It's not about getting your get out of jail free card so you can get high. It's more than that. It's cancer patients. It's veterans that come home from war, post-traumatic stress disorder. It's your police department that have to clean up the mess in the middle of the night when we're sleeping. They have to look at it, and it affects them. And we advocate for police to use medical cannabis rather than use opioids. But for them, they can't. They're like treated as second-rate citizens. We actually have more rights to alternative medication than the police do. And it's a sin.
Thank you, Mr. Rowe.
I want to thank CMMNJ, sativacross.org. I'm sorry, I don't have my thing here. That was very emotional.
Dude, that makes me cry every time I hear it, man.
Yeah.
Because this is the thing. People being like me, where I was recreational first, advocate for patient rights and serving the patients out there. I have lost hundreds of patients in my time out in California. I can't even count the number of people that I've lost. And to know, and I've said this before, that you're all going to end up like us, people. You're all going to end up wearing a diaper. You're all going to end up in a wheelchair. And at some point, if you don't, because not all of us are as lucky to go out young, beautiful, and leave dying like my son did in a tragic accident, where you live fast, die young, and leave a beautiful corpse. It's not too many people get to finish up everything they need to do when they're 20. Most of us are going to live up into their 80s, maybe even their 90s, and you're going to know what it's going to be like to be a part of the most hated group and the most discriminated group on this planet, which is old people and cripples. If you have a blue placard in your car or you're a cripple, you will know what it means like to be discriminated against. And we're all going to end up in a chair someday. You're all going to end up in a wheelchair. You're all going to end up in some situation where you're not going to be able to control your bladders. You're all going to end up like you were when you were born here, naked, in a diaper, being cared for by somebody else. And if we do not stop what is going on now and start attending to the health and welfare of sick people, and understanding that if you identify at a young age what can kill you, what can't kill you, you won't have bad news like I got yesterday. And here I am back at it again. I've got to pick myself back up. I've got to deal with a best friend of mine that was a real good friend of mine out in California that went partying, got himself a little bag of Coke that was cut with fentanyl, and he left behind a 10-year-old daughter that will never see her dad again. And this is what we're dealing with, people. And if you don't understand how difficult this is, it's a difficult thing. I don't want to have to get up here and get on this camera and get on this microphone and start proselytizing to people and saying, hey, we need to do this, we need to do that. But we have a bigger problem than just what's happening in your lives. And I understand everybody has tough lives now. We're all paying a lot of money for gas. We're paying for all of this stuff that we shouldn't have to. We're having to deal with power outages. People's houses are burning down. Car accidents are happening. So life is happening. Real life is happening to you. But look, just take a chance. Look beyond your nose and see what is affecting you. And when you're out in public, look down. Look down and look how many people are in wheelchairs. Look around. Look at the handicap spots that are being taken up by cars that aren't have a handicap placards. Look at the wheelchair access that you like with Lefty's big thing is a step is a wall. It's true.
Step is a wall.
A step is a wall. I'm putting in my vote for we need another jam session. You and Mike need to come on and we need to have another jam session where you guys are just auto-tuning Pink Floyd or auto-tune.
Let's do that. And I want to thank CMMNJ.org. I want to thank CanaSense. They gave me a commercial to run here. Let's see if it works. Let's see if this works.
Hopefully it does.
CanaSense provides the simplest process.
Hold on, I missed the beginning. Check it out. This is cool.
CanaSense is common sense. Woohoo! Yama!
CannaSense provides the simplest process to join a legal cannabis collective. Go to cannasense.com. That's C-A-N-N-A sense, like common sense. Click Join the Collective and provide proof of age. Your account will be approved and you can order your cannabis that day.
CannaSense is common sense. La 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 la. CannaSense is common sense.
Got questions? Our bud tenders are standing by at cannasense.com.
This product contains cannabis for use only by adults 21 years of age or older. Keep out of the reach of children. There may be health risks associated with the consumption of this product, including for women who are pregnant, breastfeeding, or planning on becoming pregnant. Do not drive a motor vehicle or operate heavy machinery while using this product.
Go to cannasense.com.
CannaSense.
Nice little jingle.
Oh, that's fine.
UFCW Local 152, JacksonStorms.com, Smoking Monkey, where I'm getting my CBDG, CBG for Lulu, which is working out great. Thank you, Smoking Monkey. Arlo Glass, OprahMachine.com, and Pure Puff Lifestyle Shop. And what is your friend's name, Lance?
Steven, the one that died.
Yeah,
Steven. He's actually from from Jersey, New York. He was a great guy, man, but he had issues, and he had issues because of the fact is that his brain was trained whenever he's self-medicating, he's not self-medicating with weed, he was self-medicating with the toot. And that and a lot of people do that. And these days, I'm putting it out there, people, you are pretty much guaranteed, if you're going to take a little sack off of the street, go buy a little quarter gram or whatever, and you take that to get it tested at your local testing facility, when you get your results back, you're going to find out that there's very little cocaine in that cocaine. It's going to be a bunch of other stuff, and it's deadly. It's killing people on a daily.
What about crack? What about when you buy crack cocaine?
Same thing.
Same
well,
thing.
Well, crack is made for the base for crack is cocaine, but they're doing the same thing with it. So you're getting from the cartels or whoever you are, you're buying your ounce or whatever. These crack dealers are buying their ounce. They're mixing it with baking soda and water and boiling it out on the top of their stoves. And what's left over inside that is going to be the fentanyl. It's a different kind of extraction. It's still going to have the fentanyl in it because, believe it or not, I do believe the cartels are now, when the cartels bring up the pure keys of cocaine into Mexico or from wherever they're coming in through, from either Colombia or Bolivia or wherever the cocaine's being processed, and it's pure. When it comes into Mexico, the Mexicans are taking it and they're stepping on it and they're mixing fentanyl inside the keys before they bring it into the United States. Because the largest importer of fentanyl right now into in the Western Hemisphere is Mexico.
China. Oh, it's Mexico. Those China.
And China is the largest exporter.
Oh, gotcha.
Yep. Exporter of fentanyl is China. The largest importer of fentanyl and fentanyl-based products is Mexico. And this is going down there for anybody that wants to go do the medical tourism and go to Mexico, and you see all the vendors on the streets selling all of this stuff. Those are clone products that 99% of the time, when you go and you have that tested, because Vice did a report where they went and bought some off the street and took the pills and took them to a lab. All of them had fentanyl in them. None of them were the Xanax. None of them were what they said it was.
Lance, I'm sorry about your friend Steven. We're going to add him onto our list here. Our list begins with Steven today, and Cheryl, Sabina, Diane, Gracie, Cindy Mae, Marie, Jack, Joan, Randy. Randy had the Whipple procedure done in Pennsylvania. They gave him the Whipple procedure before they gave him cannabis. That's ridiculous. Polly, Bill, Chad, Jeremy, Colette, Matt, Troy, who died from pancreatic cancer, Russ Perry, who died from liver cancer, Roger Barber, Jay, my friend who passed away from opium, from heroin, because he couldn't get cannabis. Ella, Hattie, my grandmother, who I gave cannabis to at the very end. Jackie, Anthony, Jake, Armando, who was my friend who I used to go smoke weed with all the time. I dabbed him out for the first time. Lynn, Felicia, Dan, Sean from suicide, Joyce from cancer, Lori, Frank, Brian, Flo, Carl, Thorn Peters, who was a wonderful activist down in Tennessee. He died in jail. Frank D. Toronto, Lorraine, Terry, Charlotte, Cher, Jaybird, Michael, the Honeybee's son, Marley, Colette, Brendan, your son, and Jeff Oakes, who you just heard from. And this is our list, and it gets bigger every week. And 1 out of 10 of us die every month, or every year. One of us die. I believe it's one every month, or it's ridiculous. We're sick people, man. You got to help us out. If you're listening to this, please help us. Be helpful, not hurtful. If you can read my shirt, it says "Be helpful, not hurtful," but you can't see it. It's all. But yeah, just be helpful and not hurtful, and that's all. Life would be better if we were just all agree to do that.
Yeah.
Lance, thank you for being on again. Thank you, bro. You're awesome.
Every day, man. And I'll come on this podcast every day.
Let's do it.
And I want to make everybody to understand that no matter how tough life gets, there's always, and I know this list is growing, but we have to understand those are our guardian angels now. They're on the other side. They're holding us up and propping us up on this side so that we can fight the good fight, because it is very imperative that you have compassion for your fellow man, the compassion that you show to the next person, whether it's a handicapped person or a homeless person or whatever. The compassion that you show them goes a long way in that person's life. Yes. Because I will not forget the people that came into my life when I needed them, and that showed me compassion, that showed me the way to go, the way that I passed on to my children, the way that my children are passing it on to the other people that they touch. It's very infectious. Compassion is infectious, and we can win this fight, but a lot of us are not going to survive. And by not surviving doesn't mean the fight is over. We're just moving to the other side, and we're going to try to help from the other side. And it's a very important fight. That's why I reached out to you a long time ago, and I said, Lefty, we've got to start getting our patients organized, not just on a state level, not just on a county level.
Yeah, we did good today. Yeah, it was nice. We had different states involved again today. It was great.
And at some point, like I said, you're going to pop up on this podcast someday, people, and there's going to be so many of this.
Bro, I gotta go.
Later, buddy.
Hashtag they shall grow.
All right, I'm out.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not worry them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Thank you, buddy.